Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. Noah Carmichael and Cole Freilich with me in the booth tonight. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the Daytona 250 for the Bluegrass iRacing Series. The top 10 going to look like this. We've got Wyatt Brackett starting on pole, Scott Fritz in second place. Third gives us Matt Grenier. Grenier. I'm going to say that's Grenier. I'm hoping that's correct. Or Grenier. Probably Grenier. Matt Grenier in third place. Travis Miller back there in fourth. I should say up there in fourth. Row 3 gives us John Fix, Chris LeBourgeois, and then it's Anthony... These are some names. Anthony Petrillos, I'm supposing. Joshua Abb in 8th place. Then it's John Kinder and Adam Broyles.
Starting first, outside of top 10, we're going to find Jason Collins lined up beside him, the 38 of David Brackett. 13th is you're going to find Jack Bauer. Alongside him, Brandon Robertson. Starting back in the 15th position is going to be Justin Winters. His outside, Brian Terry. Behind them is going to be John Elliott and John Smith. And then rounding out your top 20 is going to be Daniel Worthington and I'm going to guess this one, Wiegand.
And then starting in 21st, you're going to have Nicholas Nagel. Nick Mills will start to his outside. Timmy McNally will start 23rd. And Brandon Young, who did not take time, will round out your field in 24th. And so we're getting ready to go for a 24-car field here, 100 laps, and it should be one exciting event tonight.
It definitely should. We've got, that's actually a whole lot of cars ready to get going. 24 or so cars this evening. Daytona is always an interesting one, and especially to kick off a season, it can either go great or maybe not so great. But tonight we're going to find out how these guys do for 250 miles. It's 100 laps around the 2.5 mile superspeedway known as Daytona. The green flag flies. We are racing for 100 laps. Brackett leads us under the flag stand.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a stack up back there in the midfield as some of the drivers trying to catch up in line. You can see there, I believe that's a 22 jumping down on the bottom side. He's going to abandon the 100 as he enters turn number 1 for the first time. Right now it's going to be Brackett and Grenier. The first two drivers that are going to get out a bit of a lead as the 22 tries to get out. Oh, he's going to actually pull under the WL line, which is something you see on these restricted plate races. People who start in front is like, I don't want to risk it too early, so they'll drop all the way to the back. You see two cars doing that. They're going to drop to the back, bide their time.
Oh, we're wrecking its lap one. It's a big one.
There's a big one.
That was caused by the 4 car, and I believe it was the 9 car. Those two cars were getting very close to each other on the straightaway, and I believe the 9 just ran the 4 out of room, put him up in the fence, and the 4 just could not get control back of his car, and that kicked off a huge melee. So we'll get the replay of that up, but that was a huge wreck to start off this race.
That it was, Cole. It's just about the big one here on lap number 1. And I saw what you were talking about there. Yeah, there it is. The 9 hits the 4. This is going into turn 3, towards turn 3. The 9 is going to be one John Fix. The 4 is going to be one Anthony Petrillos. And they're going to make contact a few times here entering 3. Eventually, Fix squeezes Petrillos into the wall. He hits the wall, rebounds into the 21, and it is on from there. And you can see what we've got to contend with after that. It's definitely a big incident here. We'll try and widen the shot for you. See what all happens here in turn number 3, and they're just going to keep collecting driver after driver, it looks like, for a while. The number 3 Hooters Chevrolet sliding into things as well down at the bottom of the racetrack. So that means that choice by the 22 of Miller, that was even more validated by that wreck there in turn 3. That's exactly what some of these guys tend to do that. So you see it's just on from there. He collects the 21, John Kinder. 23 gets involved. A lot of new faces, and a lot of them, unfortunately, already pretty scrunched up. Looks like we have single file restarts. We're coming right back to the green flag here, Cole Freilich, and we'll see what these guys can do. A bit of a stack up there on that one.
Yeah, Wyatt Brackett kind of stacked them up right there. You see the 15 diving to the inside. That's Matt Grenier. He's going to have Scott Fritz going with him, and really Scott's going to play spoiler here of who gets going the best, because the car he goes with will definitely matter, because 2-car tandems are a little more prevalent with this current aero package. We've seen it. You saw it at LTAC at Talladega a couple weeks ago. We could see 2 cars hook up and go, but it's really the question of who is the pusher, because if you're a Ford, you got a flatter nose, so it's definitely easier to push in that car. Same with the Toyota, really. the way the Toyota front end lines up. But if you're a Chevy Camaro, you definitely got to be careful because that point on the nose can definitely turn a car at any point.
Yeah, he's going after it now. As you see on the shot there, some of the people that were running in that pack behind him have actually started to break away from themselves and are starting to make their way to the field. That 21 and 3 have hooked up with each other. And he gets turned around. That's going to take both of them out. And now the 21 we talked about, he used that fast repair. He had to think about the fact that he didn't have it, and now his race is just about over. Almost gets. He has the rear end of his car ripped off there. That was just a hard impact in the wall, as now he's going to beat shit on the banking.
That was Brian Terry who came flying in there, diving to the apron. He nearly just clobbered the 21, but I believe that was just a simple case of getting on the left side while bump drafting and it all going wrong there heading into turn 3.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you want to see at any point in the race. We already saw it on lap 1. We see it again here, lap number 15. So a bit of a bumper hook there. As you said, the number 19 catching the 08, and the 19 is, since we have a lot of new faces here, the 19 is none other than John Smith, 29, as if that wasn't a common enough name. So John Smith just gets a piece of the back end of the 08, Nicholas Noggle, and that turns into a very big incident, unfortunately, mostly here for the 21 of John Kinder. So John not serving John very well. We're coming to the green flag here. It's lap 17 of 100, and Cole Freilich, we're back green flag racing. An interesting restart there. They went, and then they didn't, and then they did.
Yeah, there was a bit of a scoring error, I believe, there, because while we were gushing over the 8 car, they had not caught up to the back of these guys. I don't know if there was something going on. There's a car spun. Oh, it is John Elliott. He was spun on the inside there. Don't know what happened to that machine, but the 8 car not having a good day now. You see him on pit lane there, so... all that talking about him now to waste, but Scott Fritz leading us off a turn 2 here. He's got the pretty much reverse scheme of Jimmy Johnson's current paint driven by Jack Bauer, pushing him down the back straightaway. And then you got Jason Collins, John Fix on the outside, and John Smith there. So a lot of people now getting into the party here.
A lot of good-looking cars out here, Noah, and man, I guess we just shouldn't talk about anybody because as soon as we talk about John Kinder, right before that caution, he's involved in that caution. We talk about the number 8 of John Elliott, and he goes around coming to the restart. I guess we should just sit here and not talk, huh?
Now he's going to try and run on the bottom. Maybe, so he is in the lead lap. I thought he was actually a lap down still. So no, he's actually just going to take over the position and leave the 3 car hanging. As now we have the 38 lap car to try and work with him. Here comes the 23 driving down the pit road.
Yeah, I do want to mention now that the fuel limit is at half a tank. So we will be seeing pit stops. I heard the 08 radio to the 3. Hey, I'm going to pit here in about 2 laps anyway. So I'm just going to get down here. So you will start seeing a bunch of cars come down pit lane. And that really could mess with the strategy of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to see these guys get about the same amount of pit stops that you'd see in your Daytona 500 in real life. They're just going to happen a whole lot more frequently. So we're going to expect these guys down the pit lane quite often this evening. And we should see it this lap or next. The rest of the field coming down the pit lane. So we're going to have to be ready here to cue the replays because I would not be surprised if we have an incident one of these first few times trying to pit. We'll see if the field comes in this time. There we go. We have a taker. It's not. Oh, and there they go. There they go. You cannot pit from the racetrack. You've got to get on the apron for exactly that reason. It's the 3 that goes around. It's McAnally spun around here in the tri-oval. That's exactly why you have to get onto the apron and make sure everybody knows that you're coming in, because that is exactly what happens.
By the lap 20 or so, you see the leaders now coming in. Here comes 100. Oh, and here comes the second pack as well. The 88 diving down there to 51, to 22, to 19. Will we see more incidents come down there? The 33,
oh, there's a 33, and he noses it in the wall.
And here comes, the 8 car was involved in that as well.
You know, they absolutely could have done whatever to the race cars, and they, oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Oh no!
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me.
And the worst part is there's no yellow. That's the 3rd incident I think we've had this race that has not brought out a caution. So whoever the flagman is, I think his name is Barry Barney.
Bauer's
something like that.
not happy.
He is.
He's swerving now out of turn 2. I think that car might be damaged a bit. Of course, he just got put in the fence pretty bad by a lapped car. Man, We've had a few of those incidents, right, Noah and Cole, where we just don't really have much for it, don't even know what to say about it. We've had a few of those incidents lately. And as the field races by, we'll welcome you back here to Daytona International Speedway, currently showing that actually we have some pit stops. Whoa, this might put those guys in a bad position. In fact, that is, oh man, this is going to be interesting because that is Wiegand, Abb, and Worthington. This puts them in a really bad spot here, Noah. This means they're short to the end. This is 20 laps to go. We haven't seen anybody go more than 18.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting what they're trying to do here. I don't know if maybe they're trying to play a different strategy and make that work. Maybe they have somebody working with them, but still, that is very interesting to see that they're pitting this early. I was kind of surprised that they were doing it, but who knows? Maybe they're able to stretch out 20 laps, but still, they're going to go a lap down as the field races by, still being led by the 88 and just the winners. Second place, Brandon Young in that 51 car. Third is Scott Fritz, the guy who I believe actually has led the most laps here tonight. He runs third. Travis Miller runs back there in fourth. The car right behind them is multiple laps down, I believe, the number 2 car of Brandon Robertson, who was caught up in that lap 1 incident. In fifth place is still currently being shown Joshua Abe, who maybe those guys were the leaders actually. I'm not sure because they're shown 6th place coming out of pit road, so maybe they actually were the leaders when they pitted.
This is going to be really close for them. If we do get a caution, I mean, if it comes down to green, white, checkered, they are not in a good spot. You see side by side into the pit lane go Winters and Young. But, man, if we do get that green, white, checkered, things will be interesting. And we know now that second main group of drivers to have a chance at the win, they cannot make it from what we know. So it's going to be weird how this all plays out. Can't wait to see how it does play out. The 13 off and away early. We'll see what these guys do. I'm going to be honest. If I was in their position, I would not have come in yet. You want to run that tank out. Why not? It's just insurance. And you can fill up a bit more lightly. It's less time in the pit lane, more time going fast. So even if you do feel like you're getting too much insurance, by all means, don't take as much fuel. Make your pit stop shorter. I'm not sure that there's a whole lot they can do wrong here, but I'm just not so sure that that was the right way to go. Meanwhile, we have a new race leader. Somehow Matt Grenier has cycled into the race lead for the moment. That is Wyatt Brackett with him. I didn't expect to see these two cycle into the lead at all.
That can go out there and win. So the only thing that is the big what if is who are the laps cars, because they have 3 drivers behind them who are a lap or more down. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Actually, yes, we have the 4 cars that are a lap down, and then we have the 19 and the 13 on by. So it's going to be interesting to see who goes where and who's going to be left behind to lose this race. So it's going to be between those 4. So as we head to 3 to go, get ready because this is about to get real interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting indeed, and it's going to really rely on what these lap cars do. The lap cars will play a factor into the finish of this race. Not much right now, but you see a car go to the outside. One of these lap guys might say, hey, I'm going to help you out, try to get you the win here. The 100 car might be the first car to make the move there. That's Scott Fritz. So it'll definitely be interesting there. The 51 machine, though, Brandon Young, he's doing the complete opposite of what you do in Days of Thunder. I mean, this man is not trying to pass Russ Wheeler on the last lap with a high to low fake, but he's pulling away for a little bit there through turn 3. You see a little gap between him and Justin Winters coming to 3 laps to go this time. It's an all Chevy top 3, and then you got the Ford of Travis Miller trying to play spoiler. He's got help from John Smith, and the 100 seems to be lining up a deal with the 22 right now.
3 laps to go, and as you say, Cole, the move could come at any time. Scott Fritz has been one of the best at leading. We'll see if he can be one of the best at racing here, Noah.
Yeah, I'm listening on the radio right now. I have to turn it up here for a second. The 22 and the 100 are actually talking to each other, trying to figure out what to do. So they might try and lay back and hook up and get a run on the top side. So we're starting to see things get interesting as we head to 2 to go. You're starting to gap each other a little bit. That's really helping the 51 and the 88. But if those 2 can get hooked up and get that run going, they could get the run on the high side. And we could have a Daytona 2011 remake where we have the 2 tandems working with each other, as the 9 and the 2 have now found the rear end of this field. So we have about a 5 to 7 car tandem going on here as we head to 2 to go.
None of those cars back behind him are really a factor, though. 4 cars will decide the fate of this race. We have 2 laps to go. That's going to be the go time for one of these guys. Will Scott Fritz make the move? He's too far back right now, trying to get the 22 to help him out. They've got help from John Smith, but he's laying back. He's trying to wind up that run, and like Ken Squire says, he's going to wind it up and fire it in there when he gets the chance. And Grandma, put your teeth in your pocketbook, because this one's going to be fantastic. They're coming to 1 to go, Andrew.
The white flag going to fly this time, and you see Travis Miller, Scott Fritz, they're sitting back trying to get themselves a run. So what Fritz is going to do is he's going to use these couple of corners to gain momentum, and he's going to try and exit the corner, exit out of turn 2 with as much of a run as he can at Scott Fritz. He's either going to do it out of 2 or out of 4. Oh, he gets turned to go wreck! That puts Miller to the lead. Miller's going to lead this thing out of turn 2. He's got a massive run over the rest. They wreck behind. The whole top 3 gets cleaned out, and he was trying to set himself up for a run, not a move to the inside of a wreck. That means he's going to go through completely uncontested at this point. They tow further back, and it's going to be Travis Miller out of turn number 4. He's going to cross the stripe and win race number 1 of the Bluegrass iRacing Series at Daytona in amazing fashion. He just misses the last lap incident. I misspoke. They did not tow further back. Winters crosses second. Then it's Fritz with no front end on that race car. Grenier is going to roll through. He's looking at taking 4th place. He was almost written out of this thing a while back. He is now 4th. Collecting a top 5 is Grenier. He was in one of those early incidents. Boom, 4th place for him. Wyatt Brackett in 5th. It's Brandon Young falling all the way back to 6th place. He's very slow trying to get to the tri-oval here. The number 51 Heartbreak. He had this race just about won. He might get passed by a few more here because John Smith is on his way. No, I think he's already crossed. So Brandon Young will be the final car to cross the stripe, and he finishes 6th. I cannot believe what we just saw, ladies and gentlemen. How about that for a Daytona finish?
Yeah, Travis, you here?
Yeah, I got you guys. You got me?
Yeah, we got you. Well, absolutely stealing a win at Daytona in epic fashion. Just take us through what your mind was going through on that last lap.
Honestly, I don't know. There's a lot going on. I just got to thank my spotter, Pat Reiser, for really guiding me through there. He told me that the leaders looked like they were going to wreck, and I just I didn't really believe him, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I was kind of settling for a 3rd there, and then the seas parted, and I just I took it home.
Well, you collect the first win of the season here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series. What momentum is this going to give you heading into the next 11 races?
A fair bit. I mean, it's always nice to start the season off with a win for sure. And hopefully we can keep it rolling and see what everybody's got in Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta should be a fun race for you guys. What's going to be your key heading into that race? Because usually with these A cars, we see tire wear being prevalent, and especially at that track. Do you think that will really play into that race?
Yeah, it's going to for sure. It's going to be a major factor. I think it's just going to all depend on practice laps throughout the week and getting those long runs in and see if you can who's got the best tires at the end of it.
All right. Well, hopefully we're talking to you at the end of that race as well. But before we let you get out of here, who do you got to thank for the win tonight?
I just got to thank Gaston's Auto Sales, Emissions Test Only, the BRP iRacing Series for all they do for me on and off the racetrack. And I really just can't thank my spotter enough, Pat, for all they did tonight. It was great. And thanks to the Bluegrass guys for putting this on, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thanks to everybody that made it possible, and for you guys for the broadcast.
Well, thank you for joining us, Travis. Hopefully we're talking to you next time out at Atlanta.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
What a thrilling finish we had to cap things off. Now, we had that run of 80 some odd laps to get us to the end of the race after those first couple of cautions, and that really jumbled those results up. So if you can't tell, this is one big segue into our race results, and man, it was definitely a doozy those last few laps. Travis Miller ends up coming out on top, the number 22, by 2.304 seconds. That's not a margin you usually see for a race win, rather, here at Daytona.
Yeah, definitely not. Justin Winters comes home second. Scott Fritz, 7 seconds back. Both of those cars, the 88 and 100, both in incidents tonight. But I just want to show how big of a gap those top 4 had coming into the last lap, because even with the crash, they were still 27 seconds ahead of Matt Grenier and Grenier, my bad, and Wyatt Brackett, who was actually our pole sitter. So to have that big of a gap going into the final lap is just absolutely insane. And it's a testament to how well those guys were getting on and off pit road and how well they just let the race play out to them. But Brandon Young going to come home 6th place. John Smith in 7th. John Fix in 8th. And we got a Joshua here, not a John. Joshua Abe in 9th. And Wes Wiegand in 10th.
Moving back to 11th, it's Daniel Worthington. We saw their issues with their pit stop having to come in an extra time and ending up a lap down. Worthington finishes 11th place, and it's Nicholas Noggle in 12th. Brandon Robertson comes home in the pedigree machine. You know, not necessarily good luck, like you mentioned, Cole, and he didn't have a very flashy run, but he hangs on for 13th. That's not that bad, all things considered. Just about in the top half of the field, Brian Terry ends up 14th. It's Jack Bauer after his incident in the tri-oval there with Mr. Collins, who I know is still listening. He ends up 15th. David Brackett in 16th. Timmy McAnally in 17th. It's Anthony Petrillo, as we saw him involved in the Turn 1 incident down there in Turn 3 with John Fix and some others. He ends up 18th spot. 4 laps down. Nick Mills also 4 laps down. You roll back to Jason Collins, 7 laps down. The final car in the top 20. Back outside the top 20, we have 4 cars. Chris LeBourgeois, I'm hoping that's somewhat correct. John Elliott in that beautiful paint scheme that we talked about, and then he promptly had issues there on that second restart. 22nd place, 34 laps down. Adam Broyles in 23rd. We had a couple of fans of his in the chat not so long ago, and unfortunately, after 2 consecutive incidents for John Kinder, 24th position, 86 down. Now, that will conclude our coverage tonight of the Bluegrass iRacing Series Daytona 250. This has been Cole Fralick and Noah Carmichael with me on the call this evening. We had Trey Patton, Trey Shuttlesworth manning a couple extra things. Trey Patton was on that extra camera you saw on the bottom right. We tried out that insert. It'll make its return in a couple of nights' time as well for the LTAC race. And Trey Shuttlesworth was on social media. I am Major Cardinale for PitStop TV, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Short tracks are special to every NASCAR fan, but some carry extra history. Richmond Raceway has that extra history, going through a plethora of changes throughout its time on the NASCAR schedule. Beginning as a half-mile fairgrounds bull ring, Richmond now boasts a 3/4-mile D shape with banking on the front stretch that rivals corners at other facilities. Richmond's start-finish line adds to its uniqueness and opens even more opportunity for a late race bump and run for the win. The Bluegrass iRacing Series now looks to attack Richmond Raceway, and tonight we'll find out just how many of these drivers are in a Virginia-loving mood. Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter tonight. Trey Patton is with me in the booth. Trey Shuttlesworth with race analysis and social media coverage. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the VFP Electric 200. We join you tonight from the virtual Richmond, Virginia for the third round of the Bluegrass iRacing Series. And Trey Patton, so glad to have you here this evening. It's been a string of really good racing here on PitStop TV, and this evening is going to only add to that. I mean, we've got a short track with big NASCAR stock cars, and it's going to be a fun one this evening. Cannot wait to see how these guys do here. In fact, we've already got these cars on the racetrack for qualifying, so we'll go ahead and take a look at what we've got. The first car I found was actually the number 83 of Chris LeBourgeois. We've got Brandon Robertson out there as well. And you know what? Let's go ahead and, before we get to qualifying, let's take a look at how these guys stack up going into this evening, at least in the top 10 in points. Justin Winters, with his win last week at Atlanta, vaults himself to P1.
Yeah, after that win last week, it did move him up, as you see, one position. Travis Miller, with that win at Daytona, 4 points behind in second place. Wyatt Brackett, third in points. Brandon Young, fourth in points. And Nicholas Noggle rounds out our top 5 in points. Matt Grenier sitting 6th. Wes Wigand in 7th. Joshua Abb in 8th. John Fix in 9th. John Kinder in 10th.
It's certainly an interesting top 10. John Kinder up 14 spots from 24th to 10th. I don't know how he did it, but John Kinder on the move, that's for sure. We'll see if he continues his trend upward and onward. We also had Nicholas Noggle going from 12th to 5th, and that was a big move as well. The biggest slide in the top 10, just Matt Grenier, although we did have a couple of drivers drop out. But Matt Grenier only loses 2 spots from 4th back to 6th, and he's still very much in that battle up front. In fact, Matt Grenier goes fastest on the racetrack, so isn't that some timing? On pole currently, we'll see how that stacks up against the rest of the field. Let's quickly take a look at the schedule for this season. We see we are at Richmond Raceway. That's why we have 200 laps on tap this evening. We had Atlanta last week, Charlotte next week, and then we go into a string of races that is really going to throw these guys, I think, for a bit of a loop. I think Daytona, Atlanta, Richmond, Charlotte, some very ordinary facilities in some ways. I don't mean that in a bad way, but in some ways, just your normal ovals. But then you go to Pocono, a triangle course, not an oval at all. And then finally, Indianapolis on right before the halfway point in the season. Indianapolis going to throw these guys for a loop, or rather a rectangle. Darlington, the egg-shaped 1.37 mile high side rim riding spectacle, if you will. Bristol's on there. We got Talladega. We go to the Roval race 10. Then it's Martinsville and Kentucky to wrap things up. I mean, we've got a lot of really interesting races ahead, Trey.
Yeah, interesting to say the least. I'm really really waiting to see how these guys stack up, especially when we go to Pocono and Indy and Darlington for sure. And then we'll get a little bit of a taste of what to maybe expect at Bristol, but that's race 8 of 12, and we're only on race 3, so this is still early on in the season, but short track racing.
That it is. We talked about qualifying for a moment. Let's talk about it some more. Justin Winters currently our pole sitter. Matt Grenier in 2nd. Brandon Robertson in 3rd. We'll get the full lineup here shortly. I don't see many cars on the racetrack, actually. It looks like these drivers are pulling in for their drivers meeting. It looks like they might mostly be done. If Brandon Robertson is parking it, I think everybody's done. So you know what, Trey? Let's go ahead. We'll talk about some of our wonderful partners this evening. First up, VFP is the race sponsor this evening. That's why I mentioned the VFP Electric 200. And VFP is a Virginia-based company building equipment shelters for over 50 years, working to keep quality power and internet across the globe. We also have some other guys to talk about. Of course, I think we've gotten pretty used to most of them at this point. Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and we'll custom create a beautiful framed, high quality, there we go, canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional info. We also want to talk about permanent makeup and cryo in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Here at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give us a call today to book a consultation. You can contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. Again, that is 207-358-8683. And they are actually opening a new location in the morning. I don't recall where Ashley said it is, but she's getting up real early in the morning to go finish up on that, and they will have a new location opening in the morning. They are branching out all across the state of Maine, so that should be interesting. I don't know why that just came up, but suddenly I guess we're going to a replay even though we're staying live. Anyways, I also want to talk about Whiplash Media, PitStop TV's new parent organization that specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also getting into real racing. We've got photography, social media management, and public relations available to you. In fact, we actually have a lot of pictures from this past weekend that are going to be coming to our social media platforms very, very soon, from Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Lucky Dog Racing League event, and from Myrtle Beach for the hashtag the last race at Myrtle Beach. Thank you to Trey Shuttlesworth for coming down here to North Carolina for that this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. You can find more about Whiplash Media at whiplash-media.com. I think we had an issue with the BRP logo. I'll see if we still have it somewhere in the overlay. It doesn't look like it's in any of those. There it is. We do have the BRP logo. We also want to talk about the BRP iRacing Series, a series run and owned by Northeastern Big Block modified drivers, crew guys, and fans. If you're looking to get into dirt racing or already are, this league is for you. BRP is a fixed setup racing league that runs 360 wing sprint cars and pro late models. The BRP iRacing Series will be adding the Big Block mods to their series lineup upon their release on the iRacing.com service. You can find BRP on their Facebook page, the BRP iRacing Series. In all of that, I don't think we had any new laps turned in qualifying. Trey Patton, it looks like these guys are in their driver's meeting, and I say that, and then actually we have a new car on the racetrack. Jason Collins taking to the pavement here at Richmond. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, it looks like he might have tagged the wall a little bit there, but nonetheless, I think might have been his out lap, so we'll see what he can get done here as we cross the line.
Yeah, no time for him. He does not go anywhere. It's showing the last lap as a 21.9, despite it not counting. So that would put him in, it looks like 6th position if it had counted. And across the stripe this time, he was slow into 1. I don't think that one's going to count for much of anything. It does not. So it looks like he's not trying to come out here and really set a lap time and start anywhere. Jason Collins going to be starting from the back of the field. Then he's currently listed in 20th. We'll see how that changes for the start of the race. We do actually have quite a few cars here this evening. We're looking at 27, a bump up from the last couple of weeks.
27 cars, I think last week we had about 20-ish. I want to say, don't quote me on that, but definitely a good thing to see a new league definitely having a big field here, and having a big field on a small track like Richmond with all the tight racing is definitely going to be a treat tonight.
And you know what? We talked about Whiplash Media and our photography this past weekend. Real quickly, Trey Shuttlesworth, what was your big takeaway? I know you're here lurking as our Larry Mack this evening. What was your big takeaway from this past weekend, getting to go to Myrtle Beach and Charlotte and shoot a ton?
Honestly, it was just incredibly refreshing to get a shoot a completely new discipline of motorsport, and to do it for a client this weekend as well. Had pretty free reins to shoot across most of the infield section of the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's a pretty fun place. Pretty fun place to explore. A lot of nice perspective to shoot from, and yeah, just getting to try out new techniques. The facility at Charlotte Motor Speedway are nearly unmatched across the world, I feel, and it was just an excellent place for an amateur road series to get a lot of track time, 17 hours over the entire weekend in total. And the team that we were with logged over 1,100 miles over the course of those 17 hours. So yeah, it was a pretty solid weekend all around. And then it's unfortunate to see, Myrtle Beach Speedway go by the wayside, but we had the pleasure of getting to see the last race there, and we got to see some Pro Late models. So it was a pretty good experience for the most part.
You mentioned that team that we were with winning. That was David Levine Racing, getting a big win at Charlotte this past weekend in the 1990 Miata that he's been working on, the number 259. And so happy to have been a part of that. Certainly a privilege, and not one that we take lightly. It was really, really cool to be there for that weekend and get to work alongside those guys. And you can catch a bunch of all of the social media updates we did, but a bunch of the pictures that Trey took this past weekend on David's Facebook page, David Levine Racing. You can follow along there as he gets that Miata even faster, but he did win, the team rather did win the 10-hour endurance this past weekend. The Lucky Dog split it up into 4 hours Friday night, 3 hours Saturday morning, and 10 hours in a separate race, standalone from the previous one that was split up over 2 sessions, a standalone 10-hour endurance race on Sunday. That was a lot of fun to be there for. Met a lot of really cool people: Jason Miles, Justin Parcher, Kathy Voss from over there, a lot of really cool, Aaron Slowman, a lot of really cool people. But enough about those cool people. We got some cool people on the racetrack here, Trey Patton, and we have a grid to walk down, and we're just going to start right off with Justin Winters, of course. He won last week. He's picking right up from where he left off, and he qualifies first place. Matt Grenier in second. Mentioned him going to the top at one point during qualifying. He ends up losing one spot, but still pretty solid. A front row starting spot for him. It's Brandon Robertson in third. Timmy McNally in fourth. Back in fifth, it's Ed Osborne. Then sixth, it's David Brackett. To round out your top 10, it's Joshua Abbs, Scott Fritz, John Kinder, and Brandon Young.
Starting 11th, we have Hunter Holberg. 12th place, we have Joshua Miller. Starting 13th, we have Brian Terry. And 14th, we have Chris LaBourgeois. If I messed that up, I apologize. We have Wyatt Brackett, 15th. Nick Mills, 16th. Jack Bauer, 17th. Mitch Smith, 18th. 19th, Corby Daniels. And rounding out our top 20, race 1 winner, Travis Miller.
Then it's Adam Lancaster, 21st. Nathan Maurer in 22nd. It's Wes Wigand in 23rd. Anthony Petrillo's 24th. In the final 3 cars this evening, Nicholas Noggle, Jason Collins, Daniel Worthington. Actually, we had an extra. John Fix in 28th, and that rounds out our field. So we bump up to 28 cars this evening. Justin Winters again on pole, getting ready to lead this field to the green flag. He's got, I got to think. That is the 15 car. I know who that is. I can think about it with Matt Grenier. That's right, to his outside. Man, it's certainly been a day. It's certainly been a week for us. A busy week, but a welcomed busyness. And we get ready to go racing for 200 laps at Richmond Raceway. Justin Winters waiting on the signal from the flag stand. They go green. We're racing in Virginia.
New flag, lap number 1. Matt Grenier goes way up to the high side. Justin Winters slows down with a surge on the outside. Matt Grenier side by side out of 2. Looks like everything. We're going to make it out of turn 2 as we surge into turn 3.
Grenier leads lap 1 down into turn 1. They go on lap number 2 now, and already the top side certainly working wonders for Matt Grenier. Justin Winters back into second place, and Robertson gets up to the top and now challenges that 88 through 3 and 4. Suddenly, I did not expect this, but the top side looks better here at Richmond, and it's been, I think, growing better and better over the years, but I really did not expect it to give the lead on lap 1 to the outside pole sitter. Matt Grenier suddenly was where he needed to be to get that lead, and, I mean, he's starting to drive away just a little bit from Robertson. McNally's sitting in 4th, and he's got company a little ways back from Ed Osborne. A yellow flies further back in the field, and it's John Kinder around on the backstretch.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I did not think the outside line was going to prevail there at all. Looks like he just got a little tight off the corner, maybe got a little loose, got in the gas a little quick, got into, I'm not quite sure who that was. Heavy contact into the inside wall there. We'll get a different view of that.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. He gets into Ab. Ab is loose into the corner right there in turn 1, and he goes up the racetrack a bit, and then Kinder just gets tight. And I don't think maybe even realized that Joshua Ab was up there and maybe was trying to exit the corner and go up to the wall. And unfortunately, it did not work out for the better. We'll see if we can look back at it from the 08 machine, possibly, or sorry, 05, if I can find him, track him down real quick. And yeah, there's the contact, and the 21 spins in the background. Man, again, I'm not really sure exactly what happened there for John Kinder, but it's almost like he wasn't expecting Ab to still be there. And I mean, it's tough to say if he just got tight or if he was trying to go to the wall.
Yeah, I think it might be a mix of both of those. Plus, you got to remember, coming off of turn 2, that backstretch wall juts out very, very quick.
Yeah, the addition of the safer barrier to the entire racetrack here at Richmond Raceway has certainly changed things up, and it's tightened things up off the corners. Not so much out of turn 4, but definitely out of turn 2. It makes that exit really, really tight and really forces these drivers to be disciplined in getting to the throttle and their steering inputs. You can't turn too much or too little, or you will end up in that wall. On a different note, how about some manufacturer parity in the top 3 right now, Mr. Patton? We've got a Ford leading, a Toyota second, and a Chevrolet in third. We've got all 3 represented up front. That's not something you always see in these NASCAR Cup Car leagues on iRacing. Usually they're pretty Chevy heavy, but this evening, the first Chevy in third place.
Yeah, that's typically not something you see. Most of the leagues I've really been a part of have been really, really Chevy heavy, and then I guess more so the less of me being from Kentucky myself. Us Kentuckians enjoy our Chevrolet, so. But, you know, from looking out through the field here, it's not, I mean, there's a lot of Chevys in here, but it's got quite a few Fords and quite a few Toyotas. So, I mean, I'd say Chevy's the class of the field right now, but I mean, it's pretty spread out right now with manufacturer-wise anyway.
Looks like we're coming to the restart this time by. We have doubled up. And remember, you can follow along on our social media on Facebook and Twitter and see our wonderful tweets getting put out by, of course, Trey Shuttlesworth, our Whiplash Media photographer. Coming to the green flag, though, it is Matt Grenier in first place. Brendan Robertson to his outside. They're waiting on the signal from the flag stand. Waiting for it. There we go. Green flag, and they are off and away. Matt Grenier leads the stripe.
Stack up further on, but nonetheless, we're still green. Matt Grenier got a good surge there. Looks like Brandon Robertson working on trying to clear second place Justin Winters. Not quite sure if it's going to happen. Here we're looking at Ed Osborne and Tim McNally. As we look forward, Brandon Robertson still trying to use that outside, but Justin Winters using that bottom to his advantage right now. Hasn't got the pass cleared yet, as Matt Grenier still leads us here.
Grenier continues to lead. He held on to it that time, and I think because he had the free reign, pretty much anyways, of where he wanted to restart, kind of like a restart box here on iRacing, he got to choose where he wanted to restart from. A caution flies in the back. Oh, we've got one car completely stopped trying to get to it. There it is. Brandon Young around in turn 3. And the Rowdy Burns throwback not having a great start to Richmond Raceway. Oh, wow, that was Adam Lancaster around as well. We'll see what happens to these two here in just a moment.
Yeah, it was just right behind the battle we were talking about here with Ed Osborne and McAnally there. Looks like we're going into turn 3. Just gets in a little too tight, sends Ed and
look at that miss from David Brackett. That's some amazing driving.
That tire lockup, honestly, was his best friend right there.
Oh, and the 27 plows into Ed Osborne. Who was that? Who's the 27? Let's see.
Joshua Miller.
Wow, he got right in the back. Oh, and they kept wrecking the 19 and 28. That was Lancaster that we saw pulling away a bit later on in the 19.
And then Jason Collins threading the needle
right down into pit lane. That was Mitch Smith, who we had great things to talk about at Atlanta, getting into things in this second yellow of the evening. We'll go ahead and get another couple of replays here. So this is, again, going into 3, and yeah, they kind of just got into one another. I think that's 100% on Brandon Young, but just a racing incident to start things off. And, oh, there it is. That's what got Mitch Smith into it. And you mentioned Collins just barely squeezing on by. Let's watch this from David Brackett's point of view, because that was amazing driving to stop the car just in time to miss that. So we'll see it from his on board here momentarily. Man, this is good driving.
Typically, you don't want to lock the tires up, but here, as you can see, locks them up right there, which actually sent him up the track, which was honestly the best scenario that could have happened to him there.
And I think he just barely tagged the hitbox of the spinning 51, but you can see no damage done to that number 38, and the hitbox is just where iRacing registers contact. But you can see, again, no visual damage done to the 38. He escapes without a scratch, and that is amazing, amazing driving. Certainly, great response time to get on the throttle, get on the brakes rather, get up the racetrack and miss the spinning Rowdy Burns 51. We're coming to the green flag this next time by. We have 12 laps in the bank, and 2 cautions really quickly here. Trey Patton has really halted the progress of this evening's race, the VFP Electric 200, but the good news is, with 200 laps on tap, we still have 190 laps almost to get this race rolling. So we'll see what these guys can do this time out of turn number 4 when they come back to the restart zone. Some new faces getting up towards the front this evening, but Matt Grenier gets right back up to the front here early at Richmond. We're coming back to the green flag, coming to lap 14 of 200. Waiting. The green flag flies, and we're back at it at Richmond.
Excellent jump by Matt Grenier there. Perfect restart. Looks like Justin Winters was caught sleeping a little bit there as Brandon Robertson takes the second spot very easily.
Racing out of turn 2, Robertson brings the fight to Matt Grenier. Down to the inside goes the pedigree number 2. He hooks that yellow line perfectly, and he's going to nose ahead and use the bottom to get the race lead, and he clears Matt Grenier to turn 1. Will he be able to slide up there? He doesn't slide up, but he gets that spot easily, almost by a whole car length through 1 and 2 that time. Matt Grenier now back on the attack.
And we just mentioned David Brackett missing in that incident there. Here he is riding in 4th. Here we are on board with Matt Grenier, following in the tire tracks of our leader, Brandon Robertson. Justin Winters following suit, and David Brackett right behind him.
And Matt Grenier looked like he had a shot at getting right to the back end of Robertson and either just forcing him to make a mistake or maybe even using the bumper, but he decides not to and ends up actually falling back a little bit. So you mentioned David Brackett just barely making it through that wreck. He is now in fourth place pretty solidly. Justin Winters goes purple that lap, and the whole front of the field pretty well single file after a few laps. Now, aside from this battle with Travis Miller and Scott Fritz, now they go single file and they battle further back.
Yeah, further on back here, they're too wide around the 05 machine and the 13. The 21's back into the mix here. That would be the 21 of John Kender. as we saw that incident there. The 27 to the 4 almost really.
Oh, the contact there on a 4. They save it. Wow. Petrillo's just drove straight in the door of the 27 of Miller, though. I'm glad they hung on to it, but that was just some tight quarters racing out of turn 2. And I'm sorry, but the 4 drove straight in the door of the 27.
Yeah, I don't know if there was anything leading up to that or just went way too hot into the corner. And like we say, short tracks tempers will be flaring, but I think it might be a little too early for that to be going on.
What isn't helping right now is Joshua Miller, it seems, cannot get down to the bottom of the racetrack and cannot exit turn 2 right now to save his life. Unfortunately, that genuine draft number 27, I'm not sure if he's just, he might actually damage the car. It could just be that he knocked the toe out, but he just cannot get out of the turn 2 right now at all. And he keeps going up the racetrack and having to check up real hard on the top side. Now it looks like he's okay. Now that he's gotten down to the bottom, so maybe just getting marbles on those tires was not good for him. A very low entry into 1, though, gets to the inside of the 28 of Adam Lancaster. Maybe a shot right there at a 2. They check up, thankfully, but more. Ooh, man, almost contact behind. A lot of throwbacks on frame right now. We had the Miller Genuine Draft 27. Now we have Rowdy Burns. We have, I can't even think, Ricky Rudd in the 28. Several drivers drove that thing, Kenny Irwin, and so on and so forth. Some battling up ahead. That is Brian Terry, almost to the inside of John Kinder, but a pass for the lead. Oh, wow. Well, never mind. I thought we had a pass. We have somebody tow. I think that's what it might have been. I think somebody towed and took the lead momentarily.
Yeah, that's what I saw. It looked like on my end, too. But nonetheless, Brandon Robertson leading by about a second. Matt Grenier second. We're looking the 33 of Wyatt Brackett following right behind David Brackett.
Yeah, Wyatt Brackett moving up the ranks here at Richmond. He's up to P7 now behind David Brackett, as you mentioned. So we'll go to the onboard of Wyatt and see what he's trying to do to catch David. I don't know the relation. Obviously, they've got to be family of some sort, but I don't know how they are related. David Brackett has fallen back a few spots from 4th to 6th, so he let McNally and Miller get by, who have now separated themselves just a bit. The whole field, I think, social distancing pretty well, getting far apart from one another this evening.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think they're a father-son duo. I could be wrong on that one, but I believe, recollecting, I think that might be correct.
Well, then if I had to guess, based on the Yangling sponsor on the 38 and the ASUS sponsor on the 33, I think David must be the father and Wyatt must be the son. Certainly a great paint scheme there on the number 38 of David Brackett. Checking back in with our race leader, Brandon Robertson, starting to check out here at Richmond Raceway this evening. Can he possibly win the VFP Electric 200? We'll have to find out in about, 174 laps time. Justin Winter is currently second place. He did get on by Grenier. That might have been also the change that we were saying up at the top of the leaderboard. It might have just been Winters going on by Grenier. So now Grenier moved him back to the bronze position on the podium. And McNally and Miller, they are coming.
Yeah, Travis Miller's had a pretty decent run. I think he had a few hiccups last week. I'd have to go back and look at my notes on that one. But McNally having a pretty strong run right now. He's currently sitting himself in the 4th spot, making a run on Matt Grenier for 3rd.
Watching this battle unfold right now, and McNally certainly has a pretty good piece underneath him. That Hooters number 3, we've gotten accustomed to seeing that color combo here on PitStop TV. I think he's run it ever since Daytona. One of the few paint schemes that hasn't changed, I don't think. Now he goes to the inside, looking for the inside on Grenier. He gets right down to the yellow line on entry and hooks it again on exit. That's how Robertson got up by him. Oh, Grenier sideways out of the corner. Almost made contact with the number 3. Now they sort themselves back out for turn 1. Here comes Miller around the top side.
Yeah, I was about to say, all that little that checkup right there is actually going to help Travis Miller. They're side by side, almost in contact, but looks like it was going to help McNally there as Travis Miller stays in about 5th place. Yeah, that is 5th place, and that's going to let Grenier pull away by a little bit.
Matt Grenier, though, is getting very loose out of these corners. I don't seem like I can talk this evening. I'm just messing everything up. But Matt Grenier keeps getting very loose out of turn 4. We thought it would be out of turn number 2. Brian Terry looks like maybe dropping down the order. Maybe not. It's tough to say. Sometimes the scoring just does that. McNally almost has company into turn 1 from Miller. Meanwhile, 6th and 7th have switched. Wyatt Brackett now ahead of David Brackett and Nathan Maurer in the sim box 971. Boy, isn't that a paint scheme. He's all over the back end of David Brackett into 3. They continue to battle for the back. LeBourgeois with company from Fritz, but man, those 3 are now back all over one another, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, you can put them under a blanket for sure, all within half a second of each other. Definitely a heck of a battle as we're actually looking on board of Travis Miller right now. See him trying to arc that corner down. This is definitely a really good view to see what the guys in front of him are doing.
Miller now enters a bit higher. Trey Shuttlesworth, we've got you for analysis. Let's use you real quick. What exactly are these drivers going to be doing? Are they going to be looking to get that high side arc down to the bottom side on exit? Are they going to try and diamond it? Are they going to maybe roll the top side? I know you guys got a few test laps before the race, and it seems like they've already surprised us here at the start of this 200-lap race.
So based off of my early and rather short testing, it seemed like the car was very tight in the middle of the corner, meaning that as you continue to turn the car, the front wheels will be turning towards the outside wall, whereas with a loose car, the rear wheels will be the ones turning towards the outside wall. So these guys are definitely fighting a lot of tightness in the middle of the corner, a lot of power when you get off the exit of the corner. So no, to get back to answering your question, I feel like over the course of a run, you're going to have more options to be able to run the middle. But it seemed early in the run, at least for my test session, that the bottom was the way to go. But we did see, I forget who it was early on that took the lead on the outside. Matt Grenier, in fact. It's possible, but it's more so, you can use it early, and I think it'll come into play later into a run as well.
And we just heard a downshift, Trey Patton. Did you hear that one as McNally drove up to the inside of Matt Grenier? Here comes Travis Miller, the Daytona winner. He follows through on the bottom side. They've got to get by this 15. I think it's pretty clear now that the 15 of Grenier was holding them up just a bit, because that move was pretty aggressive from those two. But some downshifting there from the number 3. Rather interesting, especially because that's going to help the car free up. And we have the low downforce package on these race cars, which means if you free the car up too much, suddenly you're going to be pretty darn sideways out of the corner, and you don't have all that spoiler that you usually have to rely on to keep the cars steady. So that's quite interesting that we're hearing some downshifting out of these drivers. Maurer has gotten by both brackets. He's now up into 6th place. Wyatt Brackett still leads David Brackett, though, and Scott Fritz has actually moved ahead of Chris LeBourgeois, and LeBourgeois has fallen behind Nicholas Noggle. First time we've said that name all evening, and Nicholas Noggle's had an interesting run these last couple of weeks, Mr. Trey Patton. He was not really in the battle at all at Daytona. He was kind of here and there. Ended up a lap down for much of the race, and then very quick last week at Atlanta.
Yeah, he had a mishap at Daytona, but, Daytona's not all sunshines and rainbows for everybody, but he definitely put his name out there and made us turn a couple heads for sure at Atlanta. And, early on here, we're sitting in the top 10 and 9th place right now.
Yeah, that number 08 actually looking pretty good. He gets on by Scott Fritz for 9th place, moves himself up a spot. Looking back through some of the rest of the field, remember Jack Bauer's name from Daytona? He was leading the race when a lot of contact was made with he and Jason Collins. That took him completely out of the running, but this evening as he goes by a loose LeBourgeois, he's now into 12th spot. Jack Bauer moving himself up, suddenly might be in the top 10 here shortly and might have some Daytona redemption on the way. Remember John Kinder from a little while ago getting into Joshua Abb in turn 2 and going for a spin, taking a header into the inside wall? He's in 13th.
Yeah, definitely having a really good rebound here. That was on I want to say 10 laps or so, and then he's had about 40 laps to rebound. So after that incident, he cycles himself in 13th right now. I think he's doing pretty good for himself right now.
Oh, he absolutely is, and he might actually have a spot here on Jack Bauer here pretty soon. Looks like Brandon Robertson. Oh, actually Bauer loose out of 4. Good thing he caught that race machine, but that Chevrolet got out from underneath him pretty quickly, and that's going to be, I think, the story of the evening. Most of these guys making mistakes on corner exit, mostly getting loose and going for a spin cycle because it's pretty darn easy to do. And we've seen multiple guys do it this evening. Back to the race leader, though. We're nearing a quarter of the way into this thing, and he is now in some lap traffic, quickly catching the 4 of Anthony Petrillo's.
Yeah, looking further back, Justin Winters having a little bit of an issue trying to get around. I believe that is Brandon Young in the 51. Trying to get around that as we're looking at Brandon Robertson trying to get around Petrillo's, trying to get a run on him here.
And you know what I see here, Trey? He's got some right front damage. He's been in the wall at some point, and that, I think, is going to bring Winters up to the number 2, and we'll have a battle on our hands pretty soon, probably before we take any green flag pit stops, because the right side of that number 2 is definitely not looking very good. The right front fender completely rolled up over that right front tire.
Yeah, I thought I noticed some damage, but I didn't know if that was just something on my end. But no, that is, taking a look at it now as you see our onboard camera, you can see that right front is definitely scrunched up right over that wheel well. So that's definitely going to affect the handling on that race car. But nonetheless, he's still got about a second lead. But as that goes on, and it's going to affect that right front, and Justin Winters is going to use that to his advantage for sure.
You know who else this number 2 is catching? We've got the number 8 right ahead. That's Nick Mills and Jason Collins at 323. Not having a good evening tonight. Both of these guys, well, they're actually battling right now side by side through 1 and 2. This is going to hold our race leader up quite a bit. It's already holding Robertson up, and they're not moving. Of course, they are battling. They're entitled to battle, but at the same time, you've got the race leader breathing down your necks, and suddenly half of that gap is gone. It's going to decrease here on lap 50 as maybe Robertson. No, he doesn't look to the inside. I mean, he's got to get on by because Winters is all over him now.
Yeah, as you can see, he checked up a lot right
Oh,
there.
Nick Mills shut the door on the leader. I can't believe that.
Oh, man. That, if I'm Justin Winters, this is exactly what I want to see. Went from he's gained
Oh, Jason Collins. Our leader almost goes around. These guys have to be aware of the leader behind them. This is... Oh, I mean, this is lap traffic. You have to get on by them, but at the same time, both of these guys now have driven down to the corner, focusing on the battle more than the race leader, and at some point, something's got to give.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think he was trying to, take him out by any means.
No, I don't think anything's intentional here. It's just a matter of, there's the leader behind you.
Awareness.
Your battle's got to wait for a second because that leader's got to get through.
Right. And looking here, it looks like he's getting held up. Gonna try to go to the...
Oh, Justin Winters! Oh, my gosh. The number 8 of Nick Mills gets on the fence hard. And he's still holding him up.
Yeah, that actually
Here comes Travis Miller.
Yeah, there's a little bit of incidents there behind that with the 8 and the 88. Looked like Timmy McAnally actually scraped the wall a little bit there. I don't know if Travis Miller had anything to do with that, but nonetheless, they're going still, but...
Robertson is still dealing with Jason Collins here. Finally, it looks like he might get by. Finally gets by after probably 5 laps of dealing with that 323. Man, it's going to be rough for the rest of these guys to get on by then. If that's what we can expect from these lap cars and they're going to race these leaders, man, it's going to be a fun one, these leaders trying to get on by.
Yeah, that's something, the way that kind of unfolded, it kind of reminded me of how, you'd see Ryan Newman race more or less in the Cup Series, I mean, he's a lap car for sure, but I mean, he's not going to let you by easily, and that's exactly
Jason Collins is still racing the leader right here. He's still racing Brandon Robertson.
I mean, he's entitled to do that.
Oh, they're making contact. He's racing him hard right here.
There's got to be a little give and take here. This is definitely helping out Justin Winters here. This is early on. I mean, we still have 146 laps to go. Or 145 laps to go. And looks like he's trying to get that run on the outside. There we go. He finally cleared him.
Well, we've seen him lunge into the corner before, and now he's going to run Winters up the racetrack. Man. Man. This is interesting.
Yeah, interesting to say the least. I honestly kind of thought they'd get by him fairly easy as washes up the track a little bit, 3 wide for a second. Travis Miller goes to the inside of Jason Collins. Looks like as long as he can have it arced as he gets him cleared. That was probably the easiest pass that we've seen so far.
The leader's continuing to try and get by. Here comes McNally. He's in between Mitch Smith and Jason Collins. And, man, not a good evening for Mr. Mitch Smith. Unfortunately, he is 1 lap down in the, 21st position. Oh, Miller's pitting, so Travis Miller down the pit lane. So suddenly our pit window opens up here, and we can expect these drivers in here very, very shortly. Again, my words just aren't working. We see Mitch Smith holding up Matt Grenier. Again, these guys have got to give a bit to these leaders. They're going to start using bumpers, and it's not going to end well for anybody.
Yeah, especially, this being a short track and it's anywhere really, just being blocked and like that, excuse me. The bumper is most definitely going to be used here, and you don't want to really irritate someone this early on in a short track race. I mean, let alone really at all, but looks like Justin Winters coming in there. But yeah, I mean, if that's the case with lap cars here, the bumper is going to be used quite a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, whether or not there's rules against it in the Bluegrass iRacing Series, simply it's going to police itself, and these leaders are going to get tired of it because they've got a race too, and they're racing for the lead. That's just the way it is, and they're going to want to get by. So I say that, and McNally and Grenier both come down to the safety of pit lane. Brandon Robertson still on the racetrack. We'll see if maybe he goes for a longer strategy to cut out a pit stop. I do believe they are on a fuel limit. I forget what that fuel limit is.
Oh, we got 2 cars around.
And there's the caution for it. Where do we have them? Oh, it's Ed Osborne. No, they're in the pit lane.
Nicholas Noggle, and I think Ed... no, that is...
Hunter Hallberg.
Yeah, it looked like... I'm not quite sure what happened there. I was just cycling through the field, and I just saw 2 cars go around, so I'm not...
Whoa, man. Hallberg was very sideways out of 2. He's still sideways, overcorrects, and just blindsides the 08.
That's unfortunate.
Oh, and then there was more contact, I think, with some other drivers. I didn't catch who that was. If we can go back to the 99, we might find out. Let's see if we can't figure out exactly what goes on behind this. I think Hallberg had to check up real hard, and that's why he overcorrected. I don't think it was related to the turn 2 stuff. And then, the 27 barely gets on by. Thankfully, Miller did get on by that stopped car. And there's the leader, actually, Brandon Robertson going by. So now, Brandon Robertson gets to pit under caution. Some of these drivers getting trapped a lap down. That changes the entire race. Now, those drivers will get their waiver rounds, but that's really going to change things up and change the dynamic of tonight's event. Because David Brackett's now suddenly second place. We've got several cars trapped 1 lap down. I'm trying to see if I can find who. Some of them are getting their laps back, so it's going to be hard to tell. But we'll have to see how it all sorts out. Things definitely getting changed up here at Richmond early. We will talk to our race leader here momentarily, Brandon Robertson. But, wow is all I have to say at the moment.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting a yellow to come out. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it to happen, but for that quick into a cycle, I really wasn't expecting it. Everything seemed to be getting straight away. I thought they were... Actually, we have Brandon Robertson now, so we'll drag him into the booth.
We will get our race leader in. Brandon Robertson, do you have a copy?
How are you?
Well, you had the lead going into the pit cycle here. It looks like now you'll lose the lead on pit lane. We were watching all of that go down with those lapped cars. Tell us about it from your point of view.
Just trying to put as many people down a lap and make the pick the field down to less and less people, so there's less in the end here. So I got lucky there. It looks like the caution came out when I was, leading, and I think I had almost everybody down a lap. So I only had about a half a gallon left in the tank. So.
So how far do you think you can go on a fuel run? Promise I won't tell anybody here, but for our curiosity here, about how far do you think you can go? Because we were starting to wonder if maybe you were trying to cut a pit stop out by going a little bit longer.
I think about 60 laps. Depends
Okay.
how much you can save in the during the cautions here.
And certainly if we get some early cautions here, it opens that opportunity up. Looking forward to the rest of the race, if you cycle back out to the lead, I mean, you just led 50 laps, and you did so pretty effortlessly, it looked like. You'll be restarting fourth. How do you think you stack up for the rest of the race, maybe to win this thing?
I'm sorry, I didn't. You cut out in the end there.
How do you think you stack out or stack up for the rest of the race to win this thing?
I think Justin's going to be tough. It looked like we were pretty equal in the long run, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right, Brandon, thanks for your time here under caution. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out this evening?
Thanks for the moderators who put this together, and also you guys for broadcasting.
Once again, Brandon, we appreciate you. Best of luck out there tonight. Go and see what you can do.
Thank you.
And again, that is, well, it was race leader Brandon Robertson, now fourth place, and we'll have to see how it stacks up for him the rest of the evening. I really thought we would have had some more interesting thoughts about that lap traffic there, Trey, because that was certainly plaguing these leaders, and I really thought we were going to have some strong opinions. It's interesting that he did not, and he took a 30-second pit stop, I think, to get all that damage repaired. It is much cleaner on the right front there, and even the right rear, I think, is just barely crinkled in, so... some repairs to the number 2. They got those fenders rolled back out. David Brackett, now your race leader. Jack Bauer in second place. Pace car lights are off.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting him to have a few words for the lap cars, but just kind of brushed it off. I guess he just was like, yeah, it's part of it. And honestly, now that we were talking about how long a fuel run is, I actually forgot. They actually had the 50% fuel limit, too. So
yeah, that's what I'd mentioned. I couldn't recall if it was 50 or 70 for some reason,
yeah.
But yeah, 50% fuel limit here this evening, as with every Bluegrass iRacing Cup Series race. They are coming to the green flag momentarily, coming to lap number 69 of 200. David Brackett, your race leader. We're back green in Virginia.
And Jack Bauer with a great restart. Surges to the outside, as we've seen it before. Is he going to make the pass happen? Doesn't look like David Brackett uses the bottom. Surges ahead.
So Bauer plays nice here and gives that spot back to David Brackett. Robertson, who was the race leader and I think has the best car this evening, in third place. We'll see what he can do with the 48 car. If Jack Bauer goes to the top side, maybe the pedigree number 2 looking pretty stout. Back in fourth place, it's a cut throat battle, and a caution flies further back. Wes Wiggin was battling there with, that was a 28 car, but Jason Collins around in turn 1. Wonder what happens here. That is Nick Mills up ahead, and I think maybe checking his steering for Nick Mills. He just gets loose on the bottom side, goes around and a bit of a spin. Yeah, brought it back onto the racetrack, and it spins around. Oh, and then he backs it into the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, I was about to say, he did a really nice job holding on to that thing, and just looks like he didn't hold the brake quite enough and backed it in. Other than that, I think he'll be fine. Probably got about a minute worth of optional repair on that rear end, maybe a little bit longer, but I think he'll be fine.
And that car was pristine before that as well. That number 323 was looking pretty darn good, and then, yeah, it just backs it into the wall pretty hard. And thankfully, I mean, it shouldn't hurt his speed, but it will slow him down a little bit over the course of the race, I would imagine. I say it won't hurt his speed, and I say it'll slow it down. But, no, I think the biggest issue he's going to have to worry about is if somebody is right on his rear bumper, possibly even getting into him in the corner. If they miss by just a little bit, they could hook that little bit of the right rear that sticks out on that bumper and hook him around.
Yeah, that's really a disadvantage. If I was him, I mean, I know we just pitted, but I would come back in, because he slid and locked him up quite a bit. So I'd come back in, get some tires, and try and see if I can get that damage fixed.
Well, we talked to Brandon Robertson this past time around. What do you say we get another driver? I was looking for our race leader, David Brackett. It doesn't look like we have him. So what do you say So look around the rest of the channels here. You know what? Yeah, Justin Winters I think is a pretty good option. I'll go ahead and bring him in here, and I'll let you take it away.
Hey, Justin, it's Trey up in the booth. You got a copy.
I got you, buddy. Go ahead.
So you started first. You're currently 13th. Talk us through that first run.
Run wasn't too bad. The car got tight after about 10 laps, and I couldn't keep up with Brandon. Then it looks like I was going to pit a little bit earlier than Brandon to get ahead of him on strategy a little bit, maybe fresher tires for a couple laps, and we got caught by the caution.
So what actually came to a surprise for us is that the outside came to play much sooner than we thought. So have you really been using the bottom to your advantage, or are you trying to just work around and find where you have the most grip?
I think after a few laps of the tires, the bottom kind of loses a little bit of grip, and then you can kind of drift up in the middle of the corner and then cut back down. But I think the bottom is rolling. The bottom is going to be key here.
Yeah, we've definitely been seeing that. Looks like you got a little bit of ground to make up. Currently sitting 13th, but fresh tires and still a long way to go. We got about 125 laps left. We'll go ahead and get you situated. Anybody you want to thank for tonight for the run so far?
Oh, yeah, I want to thank Al's Body Shop for being on the car, Boots Manufacturing, and Bluegrass iRacing Series for putting it on, and we'll see what happens in the rest of these laps. Hopefully I can make it back up front.
All right, man. Well, best of luck to you. Hopefully we'll be talking to you later on.
10-4.
That was Justin Winters.
All right, thanks, buddy.
So that was Justin Winters. We're coming to the green flag. We'll ride this number 88 to the green. The green flag flies. We're back racing on lap 76 now of 200 at Richmond. Justin Winters restarting from about 13th position. David Brackett, though, the race leader. And up front, it is Brackett with a mirror full of Brandon Robertson down to turn 3.
And Robertson, had to check up a little bit there. I think he's going to try and arc the bottom. Not going to have quite the run yet. Looks he's going to get to the inside there as Brackett goes way up to the top side. Looks like Robertson's going to have the surge off of the corner, and there he goes and clears him for the race lead.
Brackett falls to second. Here comes Bauer to the inside. He wants second place, and it looks like he's going to take it. A caution flies in the back.
Yeah, still reckon. Looked like the 33 got around, and just a little bit of contact further on back. Everybody gets it back going.
Still trying to find the cars that wrecked. Looks like Wyatt Brackett was one of those. We'll bring the replay up, and he gets tagged by Justin Winters, who we were just talking to. Wyatt may have just checked up a bit early. Some more. Oh, man, some heavy contact, but nobody hits the wall out of that.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that they all kept it going, but I saw the 33, that's Wyatt Brackett, and I saw him go around right there as you see, and then just they stack up a little bit there, but they all kept it going. So further on back.
So everybody continues. I don't think anybody got too heavy a damage out of that, Trey. I think they'll all be okay.
Yeah, that right there. We want to talk about locking the cars up and having. I don't really remember if iRacing has, I guess, flat spotting, but they do have tire limits in this race, and I believe they have 6. I believe Trey Shuttlesworth has a little bit more insight on that one.
Yeah, Trey. Tonight these drivers are going to be working with a total of 6 Goodyear Eagles. So they'll have the set of tires that they're starting on, and then from there you have 5 changes that you can do on both the right and the left side tonight. So you might not be able to take them each time that you wanted tonight. Not quite as severe as Atlanta Motor Speedway, where you couldn't take them on each green flag pit stop, I don't think. But it's just because we have so many yellows that you still have to be pretty strategic about when you want to put the tires on tonight.
So now to lap 80 of 200. Let's see, 4/10 of the way through, 40% of the way through this one. Brandon Robertson, the race leader. And it's certainly been an interesting one to this point. I think it's pretty good that we're as far into this as we are, but suddenly a slew of cautions halting our progress. We've had 5 cautions now for 20 laps, and that number will go up under this yellow. 5 lead changes, though. It's certainly been an exciting one up front. And we had a lot of lap cars on that long green flag run really get in the way of things and change the dynamic of this race, especially once that yellow flag came out for a few cars going around in turns 3 and 4. We stay under caution. We'll go ahead. We'll take a quick break, and we have a message from one of our sponsors. It's Tucson Sound Dart. Don't go anywhere. This is PitStop TV. Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. No Carmichael and Cole Freilich with me in the booth tonight. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the Daytona 250 for the Bluegrass iRacing Series.
The high quality
Top 10 gonna look like this. We've got Wyatt Brackett starting on pole. Scott Fritz in second place. Third gives us Matt Grenier. Grenier. I'm gonna say that's Grenier. I'm hoping that's correct.
Uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it is you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we
And we welcome you back from that commercial from Tucson Sound Dart. We're ready to go back. Green flag racing. Brandon Robertson, the race leader. He's got David Brackett at his outside. Jack Bauer in third. We're back at it at Richmond on lap number 83 of 200. And these guys all spread out at a turn 1.
Yeah, Robertson again with a great surge of the restart. David Brackett trying to use that outside. Travis Miller following suit. In 4th place, Jack Bauer right in front of him. Almost some contact. As we see Lancaster cautions out. Chris LeBourgeois, engine blown into the inside wall.
Heavy contact for the number 83. We'll get a look at things here. And yeah, they were all spreading out through 1 and 2. 4 wide at Richmond never works. Noggle, Corby, they're involved. The 323 of Jason Collins, heavy damage. And that'll do it for those guys down the backstretch here at Richmond Raceway. That's why you don't go 4 wide at a short track, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get a few more looks at things. Oh, wow. Brandon Corby missed turn 1, gets into Nick Mills, and then they stack up. That's why they're 4 wide. And there it is. Nicholas Noggle gets a piece. Oh, wow. The 100 of Scott Fritz got a piece as well. And that was a lot of pieces in that one.
Yeah, a lot of pieces for sure. We're going to get a different view of that here. 4 wide at Richmond. That's almost 5 wide to an extent. That is not something you see every day. And, you know, that right there is exactly why you don't see it. Because it does not work.
One more replay here from the onboard of Jason Collins. You see 4 wide there, and then, yep, they all just stack up, and, oh, it's big.
Yeah, you can see from the onboard of Jason Collins there how I mentioned earlier that wall out of turn 2 just juts out a little bit. I'm not quite sure that was in front of him. It actually made contact with the wall, but that's not what started the wreck. I'm not quite sure if there was contact to the wall in front of them that started that, or if they all just got really tight there.
Well, as Larry Mack says, cautions breed cautions. And unfortunately, we are stuck in the middle of one of those caution cycles where we're just going to get a few thrown at us here. Now under our 6th caution of the evening. And this is certainly halting our progress here. But we do still have 100 laps on the far side of this one that we can get things sorted out and get through this one a bit more quickly. It's been great racing. Just unfortunately, these last few incidents caused by these guys being stacked up on the restart.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, you kind of nailed it, hit the nail on the head there. Great racing. I've honestly, me just being me, it's a short track. I expected a little more incidents, but so far, I mean, we got the early incidents going on, and now, you know, like you said, caution breed caution. But I mean, we've only had 6 cautions so far. I mean, some people might think that's a lot, but for a race of this length, I mean, we have more cautions than that, and more or less of a C-fixed race, which is probably like what, 50 laps. So I mean, these guys are doing a heck of a job, putting on a heck of a show here, and we're not even halfway over yet.
It is now lap 87 of 200 under caution. We've talked with a few drivers. We've talked to Justin Winters. We've talked with Brandon Robertson. Our next yellow will get another, but we got to get some laps out of the way here first. We had that long green flag run, and that was really exciting to see the laps just clicking on by, and now suddenly this big halt right before halfway. But it's not like all hope is lost. These guys have been having, again, some amazing racing, and that long green flag run was a lot of fun to keep tabs on. The tire's wearing out, and it looks like I'm getting a phone call, oddly enough, from Corona, California. So you might have heard that start of that ring there. Not sure what that's all about, but we'll just let that one sit. We'll let that one stew, and we will see if they want to leave me a message or something. That's a first on broadcast. You get a random call, probably a telemarketer. But we'll let them have a nice evening, and hopefully they're watching or something. I don't know. Coming to a single-file restart, it's Brandon Robertson in P1, David Brackett in second, so changing things up, going to single-file to try and alleviate the incidents. The green flag flies, coming to lap 89 of 200.
At lap 89, Brandon Robertson pulls away by about 0.8 of a second. He's been nailing these restarts. David Brackett slides up the track a little bit there. Looks like Lancaster's going to surge by him on the inside there. Travis Miller making a run for second.
Miller with a pretty solid restart as well. He looks to the inside, then backs out of Jack Bauer. They continue to battle behind. Lancaster did get by Brackett, as you mentioned. Maurer in front of a 2-wide little battle. It's Grenier and Wigand battling off into turn 3. Grenier gets that 7th place spot for now. Daniel Worthington in a battle with Justin Winters, who we saw send Wyatt Brackett around to cause this most recent, 2 yellows ago. John Kinder back in this battle. He gets on by Joshua Abb for now. Remember, that's what caused the first caution of the evening, him trying to pass that 05. Thankfully, that time it works out nicely.
We got some pretty nice tight race. 2 cars around, Petrillo's and Mitch Smith into the inside wall.
And Smith with some heavy damage. The number 19 really torn up after that one. He was already not having a very good evening. Now the entire nose of that number 19 gone. We'll see what happens. Oh, Petrillo's just down the racetrack.
I think he might have snagged the wall out of 2 there and just sent him straight down the track. We'll get another view at that, but fortunate for Mitch Smith. Just innocent bystander there.
So Anthony Petrillo just gets loose and, down the racetrack. Nowhere for Mitch Smith to go. Literally nothing he could have done differently. Sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles, and, well, it doesn't crumble very well.
As we're going to see the onboard of him here. Gets a good run off the corner. Oh,
it's almost like Petrillo's dropped anchor and slammed the brakes as soon as the car got sideways. And while that does sometimes save a race car, the unfortunate thing is you're doing that in front of somebody and the rest of the field. And that's exactly why you can't. Or if you do, you've got to get out of the way first. You got to get down to the inside. It looks like he just stops when he gets loose.
Yeah, I think regardless there might have been some contact, but
for sure, but I think it would have been a lot lighter. And actually, I think Smith might have had the reaction time to be able to get to his outside as opposed to just piling in the back, unfortunately. But I said we would get a driver to talk to him. Sorry, I keep stepping on your toes a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and bring somebody in. I'm looking through who we've got, and let's see, trying to compare who we've got with who is in the channels. You know what? Let's talk to Nathan Maurer. I'll hand it right back over to you, Trey Patton. He's currently riding 6th.
I thought I was going to end up like Go-Kart Boy.
Go-Kart Boy. Speaking of go-karts, that is not what we're driving. But Nathan, this is Trey up in the booth. Man, you got a copy.
How you doing, bud?
Oh, we're doing all right. Sorry to drag you out of your channel there real quick, but we just wanted to get a quick rundown of how you're doing. You're currently sitting in P6 right now. We're coming up to the halfway mark. Just talk us through how your run's going.
Oh, I'm loving this track and this setup right now. I feel like we have the best car on the longest run here. My spotter is telling me we're about 0.2 faster when we did that full fuel run there towards the end. So just hoping we get a good green flag run here.
That's always some good information to have. We've been keeping tabs on you. That Simbox machine is definitely one that you can't miss on the track for sure. We just wanted to see how you were doing. You've had a pretty decent run going on, and you just gave us the information that you've been the fastest car on track on a long run. So we expect to see you making your way up through the field, and hopefully we can get a long run going for you.
I hope so, but hey, thanks for checking in with me, man. Have a good night.
All right, you as well.
So Nathan Maurer keeping things clean and concise in the Simbox number 971, and we'll check back periodically to see how that number 971 does. But Brandon Robertson, our race leader, and we'll see if these guys double up this time. It looks like they are.
This time we're going to rack them and stack them for lap 97 of 200. Travis Miller lining up P2. Brandon Robertson obviously still our leader. Jack Bauer in 3rd. Lancaster lining up in 4th. A little bit of a few different names up here. Travis Miller up into the mix. David Brackett back in 5th. Looks like Justin Winters finds himself in the top 10 now as we're going green flag, and I'll turn it over to Andrew.
Lap 97 coming up, and they go back green flag racing. The 2 and 22 get an interesting restart. They stack up a little bit behind them. Jack Bauer takes over 3rd from Adam Lancaster, and they battle single file now through 1 and 2. Maurer gets clear of David Brackett pretty easily, and they're battling behind. It's again Wigand and Grenier off into 3. Grenier lunges up to the back end of the 38. Here comes Wigand possibly. Meanwhile, Worthington and Winters are side by side.
Hillenberg into the wall. That's a yellow right there. They got stacked up a little bit in the back. Thought they were going to keep it going. Or Holberg, I'm sorry. Looked at the wrong name. Was looking at the right car, wrong name. That is Hunter Holberg. Sorry about that.
So Holberg around, and we'll see what happens to him. Of course, the Salt Life number 99 not having a very good evening, and he's racing with Petrillo's right here into turn 3, and Petrillo's just gets into his left rear.
Yeah, definitely hit him up the track there. I was hoping he was going to have a handle on that thing to keep it going, but fortunately we are under another yellow.
Looks like everybody else gets on by somewhat okay, just the hard contact for the number 99. And I wonder when the tempers will start to kick in and when these drivers will start to maybe get a bit annoyed and start to give payback. That said, we are coming up right on halfway. Trey Patton now lap 100 of 200. And you know what? Let's go ahead. We'll talk about our wonderful sponsors here at PitStop TV. And we're just going to start things off with, if I can get, there we go, we'll get the logo up for you. It's the BRP iRacing Series. The BRP iRacing Series is a series run and owned by Northeastern Big Block modified drivers, crew guys, and fans. If you're looking to get into dirt racing or already are, this league is for you. BRP iRacing is a fixed setup league that runs 360 wing sprint cars and pro late models. The BRP iRacing Series will be adding the Big Block modified to their series lineup upon their release on the iRacing.com service. You can find BRP on their Facebook page, the BRP iRacing Series. Trey, tell us about Tucson Sound Art.
Glad you asked. Tucson Sound Art. Your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and they will create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for more information.
And when it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give them a call today to book a consultation. You can find them at permanentmakeupinmaine.com, at 207-358-863, and at Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine on Facebook. Whiplash Media is PitStop TV's new parent organization. There we go. Specializing in iRacing paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. We're also getting into things like photography, social media management, and public relations. In fact, we covered David Levine Racing's run at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Lucky Dog Racing League this past weekend. It was a big W, not just for David Levine Racing on the racetrack, but also for us in our social media coverage of the number 259. Now on lap 102. Looks like we have one more lap before we go back green flag racing here. Let's take a look at some of our current results. If the race was to end right now, obviously it's not, but Brandon Robertson would be your race winner. Travis Miller second, Jack Bauer third, Adam Lancaster fourth, Nathan Maurer in fifth. What about the rest of the top 10?
And David Brackett would be sixth, Grenier in seventh, Wes Wigand in eighth, Justin Winters ninth, and Daniel Worthington, a name we haven't really mentioned a lot, found himself in the top 10.
You can see some more of the results if they were to finish right now. Some through the rest of the top 20 and how they're faring, and even back through 28th. John Fix did not make the start of this race. He's not with us this evening, so he will get credited with 28th. Meanwhile, they're coming to the race restart once more, just past halfway. Brandon Robertson continues to lead. We go green out of turn 4. Back at it, coming to lap 104.
He's been nailing these restarts. Gets a surge ahead about half a second there. Jack Bauer goes to they were 3 wide there. Oh, Travis Miller stuck on the outside there. Did a good job of getting out of that. We have Nathan Maurer making his way up into the 3rd spot.
Maurer gets down to the bottom side of Miller and Lancaster, my bad. And so he gets on by the 28 and 22. Miller got stuck on the top side out of that restart. They all stacked up, and I think Miller just spun his tires.
Oh, yep. That would be Mitch Smith and Anthony Petrillo's into the outside wall in turn 1. That brings out our yellow.
And so we have yet another halt to the racing action this evening. Anthony Petrillo's, this might be, I think, the 3rd. Oh, but this one, oh. Huh.
Not quite sure what happened there.
Petrillo's on the bottom side, and he just...
wow. Hit the apron and
so he overslows and overturns, and then the 16 just drives into the the right rear of him. And Corby Daniels sends this number 4 around. It's a very confusing wreck to watch.
I mean, I'm not going to put that on the 16 at all. I mean, he just...
Well, before you say that, Corby Daniels was sideways into the corner as well.
Yeah.
Let's watch here what happens to Corby Daniels in the number 16. I mean, I think we can see it from this angle. He gets pretty loose off into the corner as the 4 kind of turns. And yeah, he's loose. He's sliding and gets into the 4. And Mitch Smith, nowhere to go, obviously. And that 19 just might be done now. Well, he continues pacing as well as Petrillo's. But, man, these back of the field restart incidents certainly catching up with us.
Yeah, Mitch Smith is not having a good run as of late. You know, as we mentioned last week at Atlanta, had a really good run and then just completely came back and not did not have a good run last week after the end of that thing. And as we see tonight, I believe that might be the second or third incident he's been involved in. And looks like we've lost Nicholas Noggle as well. But nonetheless, we're on lap 108. Brandon Robertson is our leader. A little past halfway, so we still got plenty of racing left.
Want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. I've seen Nicholas Weatherby in the YouTube chat as well as John Fix. Rich Petrucco over on Facebook. Matt DeRitter saying the 1622 and 99 are some pretty good looking cars. Jason Johnson over on Facebook as well. We'll see if we can find anybody over on Twitch right quick. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and supporting PitStop TV this evening. Every like, every follow, every subscription means quite a lot to us, no matter where you're watching from. We are also streaming to Twitter for, I think, the third time now in our history over here at PitStop TV. And we'll see if we've got anyone chatting it up over on Twitter. I'm not so sure actually how the chat works over there. To be honest, we're still pretty new to that whole part, but we're glad that we're streaming live to Periscope and Twitter. You can also follow along with our social media coverage provided by Trey Shuttlesworth. Meanwhile, Trey Shuttlesworth, how are you doing over there? I know it's been certainly a little ride these last few laps.
Very simply, just at this point in time, capturing a lot of incidents on the track right now. So is the nature of Richmond Raceway. Trey Patton was hitting on the point earlier. It's one of those tracks that really reflects the principle of cautions breed cautions, or safety cars breed safety cars. So, I think all we need is, one restart, get a 5 or 10 laps for these guys to get a little bit stretched out, to be able to utilize all 3/4 of a mile we have at Richmond Raceway. And we'll be in good shape, but it's just a matter of getting there at this point.
It's certainly been, I think, a product of Richmond all night long. It's definitely a bit tough to drive. That's why I see these guys getting loose so often. And, I mean, it's notorious for these big incidents, these big restarts, because you can race just about anywhere on the racetrack, at least for a couple of laps. You can defend from the top side 3 wide sometimes. It's just really difficult to go with 3 and 4 wide, and we've seen that not work out this evening, and that's why you don't do it on a short track. Meanwhile, coming to the restart, lap 110, coming to lap 111. Brandon Robertson still the race leader. Now Nathan Maurer moves up into third.
Yeah, Nathan Maurer, he told us, you heard it here firsthand, that he said he's got one of the quickest cars on the track. We haven't really had much of a long run yet. More contact in the back, almost 4 wide in the back. Hunter Holberg kept it going. Thought we were going to have a caution there, the 13 in front of him. But nonetheless, as we look at Nathan Maurer trying to run down Jack Bauer for that second spot.
Meanwhile, Brandon Robertson leads. Jack Bauer suddenly got company from the 971, and one car we saw did go up the racetrack a bit. That was Adam Lancaster opening the door to John Kinder. Meanwhile, Jack Bauer gets his door opened up. Here comes Maurer to the inside, and a couple of similar last names, actually. Matt Grenier has a front row seat to this one.
Yeah, if I'm Grenier, he's definitely in the catbird seat. Looks like he got the run he needed there on Jack Bauer to get that third spot. They're still going to be side by side going into one. Looks like he's going to clear him there.
Grenier back into the top 3. That 15 was quick earlier on, but a lot's happened since lap 14, and 100 laps later, he finally gets back up there. Jack Bauer falls into 4th, and he's got company from John Kinder, the first caution of the evening after contact with Joshua Abb. Oh, here comes McNally. Where did he come from in the number 3? He crosses the 28 up. Well, actually, 28 was trying to cross him up, and they were almost making contact at a 2. Meanwhile, Bauer loses that spot to Kinder. McNally suddenly with a run from hell. I don't know where that 3 came from.
Yeah, he most definitely just came like a bat out of hell, like you said, and just sent it. Had a great run down in the corner, made it stick, and here he is trying to pass the contact. Kept it going, but you see Brandon Young up to the mix there. Wyatt Brackett, Justin Winters trying to go around here on the outside. John Kinder, Adam Lancaster, Brandon Young
3
back up
wide.
into the mix here.
Oh my gosh.
This is some really good racing going on here. Brandon Young back up into the mix here. Not Justin Winters. That is Jack Bauer and
Well,
Wes
Justin
Wiggins.
Winters is in that group now. Wiggin goes on by. Wyatt Brackett now to the inside of the 48, and there's McNally showing his face again. And the 88 of Justin Winters, I get now a call from El Centro, California, not Corona this time, as they continue to battle up out of turn 2. Almost contact from the 48 into the 33 of Wyatt Brackett, and Jack Bauer will not go down without a fight, but he is certainly falling back pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's falling back for sure. Wyatt Brackett they're trying to reel in Wyatt Brackett rather. They're trying to get Wes Wiggins in the mix as well. Brandon Young right in front of them. As you see McNally, as he tried to make that run, still further back. But as we look further ahead, Matt Grenier trying to make the run on second place. Nathan Maurer. But as we look further ahead, Brandon Robertson, our leader. Travis Miller sitting in 5th place, trying to hold off a charging Adam Lancaster.
Just trying to show some of the battles throughout the top 10. We flip back to the battle we were looking at here, Trey. This is interesting stuff, and it was exciting stuff there for a little while. It looks like most of it's died down for the moment, but they're still battling actually further back. I see Nick Mills side by side with Joshua Abb, who was the other half of that contact with John Kinder a little while ago to start off our first caution. Joshua Abb in the Primetime Sports Talk number 05 currently sits in 17th.
So is that the 100 of Scott Fritz with no front end or back end?
Yeah.
He's wheeling that thing. He's in
Trouble for him maybe though. Gets contact from Justin Winters. Justin Winters, since getting stuck in traffic, has gone nowhere. Every once in a while, he tries to get through the field and does so to a point, but he keeps falling back and having to deal with these slower cars. At least we thought they were slower cars, but he just cannot get by them.
Yeah, I feel like those cautions weren't really helping him at all. You know, just his car seemed to handle really good in clean air. It just doesn't look. You see Scott Fritz get a little loose there out of the corner. But I think that dirty air and just being caught up in traffic is most definitely just really affecting his race right now.
So this is down around 13th through 17th, 18th or so. Ed Osborne, let's talk about the number 555. The 555 carrying our race sponsor of the evening, VFP. And he's certainly had an interesting run this evening in the VFP Electric 200. He was looking pretty good for a while and has since fallen back, and he was, I think, almost in an incident earlier on. I think now he's just trying to keep the car clean because that car is still pretty darn clean, actually. But certainly not running where I think he would like to.
That's honestly probably one of the cleaner looking cars in the fields. We're going to go on board. See, as I mentioned before, that 100 missing about every fender on that machine. But nonetheless, he's still running. That thing's still going. That is, like you said, I believe around the 15th position. That is 18th. My apologies. We're going to go back, look further up the field. John Kinder finds himself into the 4th spot. Travis Miller right behind him. Grenier in 3rd, still trying to run down Maurer, and Maurer has run down our leader, Brandon Robertson.
Yeah, so Grenier's on board shows it pretty well. You've got Maurer chasing down the 2, and suddenly that long run speed that Maurer was talking about is coming to fruition. The 971 looking pretty sporty right now, and he is certainly reeling these guys in over the course of a longer run. He's only got one more car to go through to get to the race lead, and Brandon Robertson looking equally as fast as I think he was earlier on, but suddenly has a new challenger.
Yeah, earlier on before, I don't think we were going to think Nathan Maurer was going to be one of the guys up front. Hadn't really heard much of him, and then as we drug him in for that interview and he gave us that insight, and most definitely now I'm looking back, looking at some data here, he is definitely laying down some flyers for sure. And as we've seen here over the course of this run, he's most definitely mowed down a lead there, as it was about 1.5 seconds, and now he's got it down to just under half a second.
Well, if he's mowing it down, I think we've got to call him Nathan Mower the rest of the race because that's just so fitting. So Nathan Mower then, in his high of second, he's been as low as 22nd where he started this evening, gets on by the 13 car down the backstretch, and I mean he is right on almost the cusp of getting back to that number 2 car. He's actually fallen back a little bit. Suddenly Brandon Robertson turning the wick back up, and the 971 looking a bit slower.
Yeah, it did look a little bit slower. Looks like, I believe we might be having some pit stops here soon. Because looking here, we've had 2 cars come down pit road. Looks like Mitch Smith's come down pit road. Joshua Miller's come down pit road. Our current leaders right now, Robertson's on a 68 lap since caution's out. Nick Mills into the wall.
Nick Mills around and... Oh, man! Oh, no. Pulls down the racetrack and catches Jason Collins, who he was battling with about 100 laps to go. And we'll see what happens to cause it. Oh, and he involves Ed Osborne, who was having such a great run, keeping the car clean, and suddenly no fault of his own. Then he pulls down the racetrack and just, I mean, he could have got the car turned around by then.
Yeah, most definitely. That could have been avoided for sure. Looks like he just clipped the wall there. Ed Osborne just... Looks like he just drove right through him.
Thankfully, Ed catches the car and keeps going.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Nick Mills should have held that car there for sure and let those cars go by. Or at least kept it up top.
Yeah, it just gets loose, overcorrects, slaps the wall a few times, and then gets collected by the 555 and backs it into the wall pretty hard. And then, you know, he, again, comes down the hill right here as cars are catching him, and I think he might even trying to do the right thing and get out of the way, but you've just got to stay predictable right there and hold where you are until they're all by you, because if you try to switch while they've committed to where they're going to go to miss you, that's exactly what happens. Meanwhile, pit stops for our race leaders. Brandon Robertson comes down to the safety pit road. Matt Grenier as well. We see McNally. We see Winners. So the entire top 4 from the start of the race comes in. We also see David Brackett back there. Nathan Maurer. Will he be the first to exit pit lane? No. The race off won by Brandon Robertson, who was the race leader going into this one. Travis Miller, though, now is the race leader. Ed Osborne actually stays out to collect second place for now. And it looks like he's going to continue staying out. So he's going to commit. I like that. We'll see how it works out for him. Meanwhile, we want to see if we can talk to another driver or two. And just looking around, not too many of these guys actually sit in our voice channels throughout the race. But you know what? We can actually bring in the number 15 of Matt Grenier. We've talked about him a lot this evening. What do you say we grab him here? And I'll just turn it back over to you, Trey Patton.
Hey, Matt, this is Trey up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Looks like you've started... where'd you go? Started second. Right now you're currently 6th. Early on, you got up into the lead, and then looks like you had a little bit of a fall out there, but nonetheless, you're back into the top 10. Lots of racing still left. Just talk us through the race so far. How's it been?
Yeah, so started out pretty good. I probably went a little too hard to start and burned up my tires just a little bit, so I dropped back a few spots, which was fine. We got caught in that caution when we had that green flag pit stop sequence, and put me back a couple spots, which was, it wasn't a big deal. I think it dropped me down to like 8th or 10th or something. So with that series of cautions, I've just been trying to pick them back off through one by one, and kind of got that green flag run here, and get back up to 6th, and got some fresh tires, and looking forward to see what we get at the end here.
Yeah, I've been looking through lap times. It looks like you, the 971, and Brandon Robertson are the fastest cars on track from what I've been seeing. So what can we expect on a long run here to see you try to mow back up to the front there?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The three of us seem to be pretty strong, pretty equal. Looking forward to seeing what everyone's got. Should be fun.
All right, man, we'll get you back up into your channel, and hope to be talking to you later on.
All right, thanks, guys.
So that's Matt Grenier from the currently 5th position. He's actually lining up on the top side, though, so I think, yeah, it should be 6th. John Kinder blinking right there. Travis Miller, the race leader, we'll see what he can do with these guys. And that 22 has looked pretty sporty, but I'm not sure about those old tires. Lap 137 coming to lap 138, waiting on the green flag. Side by side without Ed Osborne, they come across the start-finish line and restart at Richmond. Robertson immediately into second.
Yeah, I expect Robertson to stay on the bottom. Cautions out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh,
7.
and they're still wrecking.
Oh, big pile up.
A big, big wreck in turns 1 and 2 right off of the restart. And we'll see what happens to trigger it all. Oh, McNally just gets into Wyatt Brackett, and they all stack up. Fritz piles in, Ab piles in, and more.
Oh man, that's not what you want to see. The hood of the 48 completely gone. View of that there. McNally just sends it down to the corner underneath Wyatt Brackett. Brandon Young in the back of him. Scott Fritz, Jack Bauer.
Oh, Worthington and Winters as well.
Oh man.
And they kept stacking up all the way through turn 2. Looking at it some more here, and you can see it all happen ahead of Worthington and Winters, and they try to escape on the bottom side, and they stack up even more. God, I keep forgetting the name. Lancaster, Adam Lancaster on the 27. They stack up on the bottom side. The whole field just stacks up just about.
It looked like Lancaster there may have, they were all stacking up anyway, but it looked like Lancaster pushed the 51 for Brandon Young up the track and really ensued more of the contact there. But I mean, they were already stacked up in the first place, so I mean, it was probably bound to happen anyway. As you see there, actually, I don't know.
Oh, Petrillos as well gets into it. And they keep stacking up all the way through the corner. And, well, you know how Fox used to have Digger? The Digger cam, that was his view of things here at Richmond Raceway. And very unfortunate that we wad him up again. But the good news is, you're going to short track at Richmond Raceway. They can keep racing even if they do wad him up, because aerodynamics not nearly as important. It still makes a difference, but you can race with a dinged up race car.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a place like Martinsville. I mean, you can race with a car that basically how Anthony Petrillo's car looked. The modified. You can win a race with a car like that at Martinsville, but more or less at Richmond, probably not. Aerodynamics matter a little bit more here.
Well, Trey Patton, since we have another opportunity to do so, we will go ahead. We'll step aside. We'll take a quick break and hear a message from one of our sponsors, Tucson Sound Art.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
We've rejoined you here from Richmond. We're cutting it kind of close. They're trying to get the whole commercial in. Looks like we cut the back end off. Travis Miller, the race leader, and single file this time on the restart. He's got Brandon Robertson up behind him, though. Thankfully, no stack-ups that we see yet.
Yeah, they got a pretty sizable gap there on the restart there. You see they've gapped about a second over Ed Osborne. So looks like further out throughout the field, we got a caution out. Looks like Corby Daniels around on the apron at the pit entrance. Pit exit, rather.
We'll go ahead and see what happens to the number 16 car. We've seen him around before, and this time, I think all on his own. He thankfully avoids collecting anyone, but the number 16 around, and he's got the BRP iRacing Series on the hood of his car, and unfortunately, I think he was trying to dirt track it a little too much and goes around and wanted to, right there, just gets on the brakes, I think, a lot of rear bias to try and get that car to turn. Trey Shuttlesworth, we've talked about these cars being tight in the center and free off. What are they trying to do with that brake bias to cause them to do that on braking like that?
So yeah, basically what you're doing with your brake bias in a stock car, so you're either moving brake pressure either towards your front brakes or your rear brakes. And with front brakes, what you're trying to do by putting more brake in the front is help stabilize the car in the corner of entry, or rather on corner entry. But what you're risking by doing that is locking up the front brakes. And then the rear, by not having enough, or rather, excuse me, I'm having a little trouble collecting my thoughts here. But if you have too much rear brake, you might struggle a lot and turn in, but lockup doesn't become too much of an issue here.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. These drivers trying to use that brake bias to their advantage because, and I'll use you again, Shuttlesworth, these guys are racing fixed setups. They don't have the same adjustments that open setup drivers do or NASCAR drivers do. They're boxed in with what they can do to the race car, and they only have steering box adjustments and brake bias at their disposal.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's important to hit on the other subject, in terms of what you can adjust with a fixed setup series. And that is your steering column. So essentially you're working with steering ratios, and the higher the steering ratio, the more minute the movement in the wheel in order to turn the car. So with a higher steering ratio, you don't have to work as much to actually get the car to turn in the corner. So you're going to lose a little bit of flexibility in being able to turn the car. You're not going to be able to catch a car as easily, but it's an excellent way to try to save tire life, because when you have a lower steering ratio and you're having to turn the wheel more, you are going to be cooking those tires a heck of a lot easier than with that higher steering ratio.
There we go. Pro tips from Mr. Trey Shuttlesworth himself. I guess he's more than just a photographer, eh? So lap 148, we'll be coming to about lap 150 once we restart. I think it will be exactly lap 150, so 51 to go once we go back green flag racing. Trey Patton, it has certainly been an adventure to get here.
Adventure indeed. Been a long race, and we still have quite a bit to go. As you mentioned, we're going to have about 51 laps to go at the green. Travis Miller leading us to the green. Brandon Robertson going to be in second. Ed Osborne, after staying out, third. Nathan Mower in fourth, and John Kinder rounds out our top five.
Looks like pace car lights shut off right there, so he should be going green this time. Looks like we might stay single file as well to try and limit the restart incidents. That really is what's getting these guys. Once they get racing, they're not bad. It's just a matter of getting racing, and when you're all stacked up on cold tires and everything, you're, especially at this point in the race where it's go time, that's exactly what's going to happen. So we'll see if these guys can get into a bit of a green run this time around. Not many Chevys up front. We talked about having parity earlier and having a Chevy, a Ford, and a Toyota up in the top three. That has since changed. It's 2 Fords and 1 Toyota on the podium currently. We still got 51 laps to go, this time by the stripe. The Gaston's number 22 going to lead the field back to the green. The green flag flies. Travis Miller is off and away, 51 to go.
Yeah, Travis Miller got a good start there, but Brandon Robertson always in suit. Not a bad restart from him. As we look further back, Ed Osborne still following in third. Maurer following close behind, with John Kinder and Matt Grenier following suit.
Osborne into the fence. Mower the rest of the race. Mower down to the bottom side of Osborne. He's looking for daylight down there. John Kinder with him as well. Osborne goes back, loses a lot of time out of turn number 2. Here comes Grenier down to the bottom side.
Yeah, going up into the fence there allowed Grenier and Kender to go to the inside of the track there. We see Wes Wiggin trying to come up and get into the mix now.
On board with Wiggin as he tries to get by the 555, and he'll do just that. Gets on by the Davey Allison. Almost, the 5s look like Terry Labonte's 5s, but the paint scheme says Davey Allison. We have a fight for the race lead, though. Brandon Robertson all over the back end of the 22 car, Travis Miller, and suddenly the BRP Gaston's Ford Mustang has company.
Yeah, you got to remember, I think Travis Miller is on old tires as well.
Yes, sir. 46 laps to go old to Robertson's 19 laps old, and
there you go.
Yeah,
that
very
shows it
easily
right there.
gets on by.
I mean, that's 27 laps of difference in tires there, as you see. He hasn't quite driven away from them yet, but now that I think he's got that clean air, I expect to see him pull ahead very soon.
And now all attention is going to shift over to Nathan Mower, who suddenly is in the catbird seat to move up to silver on the podium. And John Kinder likely going to follow suit because they all have newer tires. In fact, everybody else in the top 10, aside from Travis Miller, has pitted about 20 laps ago or sooner. Wyatt Brackett 14 laps ago. Ed Osborne, the other car on old tires, that's why he went so far back on that last restart. But these guys all are going to eat that 22 car up.
Absolutely, as we're seeing the bottom side here, is that 971's trying to work that bottom. Doesn't quite get it done yet. He's going to use the bottom to his advantage here. He's going to stick the nose in. They're going to be side by side. As we're looking at the onboard of the 22, looks like he gets it done. John Kinder trying to get in the mix as well.
Oh, Miller charged the entry of the corner. That's not going to help his old tires. Kinder's going to get right to him at center and see if he can power off and catch up to him. Out of the corner, looks like pretty even as far as getting the power down and keeping those rear wheels underneath them. These guys are on a bit older tires as well. Everybody up front, because now they're up over 20 laps and a few different heat cycles trying to get this race restarted. Now we're into a slight run, and I'll knock on wood a little bit. Hopefully we keep that going. Miller down to the bottom side, and Kinder's trying to go around the top.
As we look just behind them, there was actually a battle going on. Matt Grenier and Wes Wiggin, as you can kind of see it from the bumper cam there. Looks like they've got that battle situated there. Travis Miller still in third, hanging on, trying to hold off John Kinder for that third spot.
So the battle rages on. This is for third and fourth with Miller and Kinder, and they just keep fighting. Miller defending and trying to keep Kinder behind him. Kinder blinks a bit off into turn one, gets right to the back end of the 22. This is going to bring in the 15 of Grenier, who we talked to not so long ago. Meanwhile, Wiggin loses some time. He's in sixth. Winner's in seventh, trying to get through the rest of the top 10 right quick. Adam Lancaster in eighth place. Wyatt Brackett has company for ninth. But, wow, Scott Fritz doesn't have a hood, doesn't have a rear bumper cover. Actually, no, he does now. He got that back. All right, so some repairs. But otherwise, that car is just torn up, and he's looking pretty darn okay in the 100 UNOH machine. Tub of towels on the side of that car as well. Up into the top 10 once more. Joshua Abbott 11th. Daniel Worthington, he recovers to 12th. Ed Osborne in 13th with those old tires. David Brackett actually getting passed up right here. Possibly, well, no, it's not for position, as Collins goes down to the inside, loses that race car a bit.
I thought he was going to go through the grass a little bit. Got to handle that car. See Timmy McAnally getting further back there, and we have a caution.
It's Corby Daniels out of turn 4, and we'll, of course, get a replay up immediately. We'll see what happens to the number 16. Did he cut a tire? Oh, that's hard to say, actually.
I am not quite sure. 16. It's he last pitted 26 laps ago, so I don't think he may have cut a tire.
What
got a little tight locked
and they
up
just keep steering it like almost like a hardware failure. Then he brings the wheel back to center. I wonder if we can't find something out from the onboard with Corby Daniels. What in the world happens here?
Looks like he had the wheel turned all the way to the left there.
Yeah, it looks like the tire goes down, and he was trying to steer out of it as best as he could. Maybe the right front got cut, but it was way too early for that.
Modulating the throttle and the brake there, and
he downshifted.
Yeah,
That's an interesting one.
Interesting.
Not really sure what happens here for the number 16 car. But that does bring out now our 13th caution on the evening. Lap 164 as Robertson leads. It's Mower in second, Kinder in third, that's Miller. Grenier, Fritz in sixth, Winters in seventh, Wigand in eighth, Brackett in ninth, and Lancaster in 10th. Now, it's a bit interesting because these guys now all have pitted and changed things up, so they're all back on some new tires. The oldest tires in the top 20 are Anthony Petrillo's tires at 23 laps old, and I think he may have just taken the lucky... No, he's about to take the wave round, rather, so he will get his lap back here shortly and rejoin the field, so we'll have 20 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, definitely that caution coming out and getting everybody to get fresh tires there is definitely going to change the way of this race for sure. I believe we're going to go green with roughly about, I want to say about 32 laps left in this race. So, I mean, definitely not really much of a long run, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a short run either.
So, T-Shut, I know you're kind of just hanging out right now. Do you think these guys will pit again? I mean, obviously they're good to the end on fuel, but if we keep getting these cautions, do you think they'll come back in for tires?
I think the big concern at this point is if you're on the top of the pit box. Of course, a lot of these guys don't have the option of having a guy on top of the pit box, so they're their own crew chief tonight. The question does become, do these guys have enough tires to make another, change to fresh tires if need be? Because we do know that these guys only had 5 available tire changes on the right and the left side tonight.
Well, I can tell you with certainty that the entire top 5 still has at least one set of tires in their bank. Scott Fritz has pitted 8 times, assuming that was for damage mostly. It looks like everybody should have at least one set, aside from Scott Fritz, Nick Mills, Jack Bauer, and Timmy McNally. Everybody else has pitted less than 5 times. Brandon Young has come in 5 times. Jason Collins 10. Everybody else 3 or 4 mostly. I don't think anybody's come in just 2 times. So mostly 3 pit stops to this point. They all should have at least one set of tires in the bank, if not 2, which is actually pretty impressive considering we've run almost 170 laps. These guys coming to lap 168 on this restart. Robertson leads. We're back double file.
Brandon Robertson going to lead us to the green as he gets an excellent jump on the restart there. Nathan Maurer trying to get down to the bottom side to clear John Kinder. Doesn't look like he's going to make it happen yet as John Kinder uses that inside to surge to the P2 position. As we got a stack up in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars around.
They are wrecking pretty heavily back there. Ed Osborne involved. I see Petrillo's, I see Hullberg, possibly McNally, and more all involved back here towards the back end of the field. Brandon Young, it looks like, was in this, and as usual, we'll get a replay. Looks like, Nick Mills, Jack Bauer, some more. Jason Collins comes flying through. They all stack up trying to avoid it. And man, oh man, I think David Brackett's going to start this one off by getting into Ed Osborne, possibly. Oh no, Osborne goes around all on his own.
And unfortunately, Jason Collins just threads the nail. I think that's twice today he's done that.
Yeah, the first time he did it to the safety of pit lane, missing a wreck, and this time just does it to get on by, and we'll watch from his on board.
Definitely there you can see, oh man, just drove right through it.
Actually got contact from Brian Terry after the fact. But you know what? That 323 is looking a whole lot better than it was earlier on when he backed it into the wall a little while ago. It is lap 170, so we are right at 30 to go. Trey, what do you say we talk to one more driver? And you know what? Why don't we go ahead and get Scott Fritz? It's been a wild night for him. And I'm just going to keep turning it over to you, Trey. Let's see what you got.
Hey, Scott, this is Trey up in the booth. You got a copy.
Yeah, I got you.
Man, you're currently sitting in the 7th position. You started 8th. We've been following you throughout the race. At one point, you had no front end and a hood, and your whole back end was gone. Now you've got a front bumper, a back bumper, and no hood. So, how's that car handling for you?
It's actually handling pretty good. I qualified pretty good and rode there pretty much the whole first half, and then I kind of got back behind when we had that caution there. When the caution came out, when I was in the middle of green flag or pit stops, and kept the whole race fighting to get back on the lead lap. Finally got back on the lead lap, saved my fast repair for the end, and I think we're sitting pretty good.
Yeah, most definitely. You were that car looked to be handling fairly well, even though it said, at least on my end, that you were missing your front end and everything. And now you've got that fixed, and looks like everything's working out for you. You're running some pretty quick laps here, and you found yourself in the top 10.
Yeah, I haven't really noticed any handling difference with the damage on the car. Just been taking tires, and I took 2 that time, and noticed the left sides weren't really wearing, so decided to take 2. Got a little more better track position, and I think we're pretty good.
All right, man. Well, we got about 27 laps to go, so anything can happen here. Just anybody you want to shout out for tonight's run so far?
I just want to thank everyone that put this together. This is a really good series to run, and I'm having a lot of fun.
All right, man. Hopefully luck goes your way, and we'll be able to be talking to you here very soon.
All right, thank you.
Scott Fritz, the driver.
I want to thank Scott for his time, of course, and lap 173 now of 200, and it's certainly been, as I said before, a wild ride to get here. It looks like we'll be restarting this time by Robertson near leader, Kinder third, Mower in third, Kinder third, Mower. I'm all mixed up at this point. I'll restart. It's been a long night. Mower first. Then it's Kinder. Then it's I can't do it. It's Robertson first. Then it's Kinder. Mower third. There we go. Miller fourth. Grenier fifth. Finally get through the top 5 at least. We'll see if we can even get through a restart. Brandon Robertson in a single file restart leads us back to the green, coming to lap 174. 27 laps to go. We restart, and he gets off and away by a decent little gap. Kinder actually sat back on that restart.
Yeah, that might actually help him into the long run here, just so he can have a little bit of a gap to run, so he can have just a little bit of clean air. I know that's not really going to matter a lot, but it'll give him a little more space to arc the corner in and to follow Robertson and to figure out how exactly he needs to get that run.
The whole field pretty well single file right now as they drive through turns 1 and 2. Separate little battles popping up throughout, and a yellow flag flies.
It looks like McNally is around as well, hit the inside wall. Not quite sure what the yellow was for.
We'll see what happens to McNally first. So this is Timmy McNally out of turn number 2. Just gets loose and noses it into the inside wall. It's unfortunate because that 3 car was good earlier on. And we'll see if we can't figure out what happens further back. So let's try and find... There's some smoke. Who's that from? Did somebody escape as soon as they went around?
Doesn't look like we've lost anybody here unless they might have towed. But on my end, I'm trying to look back, and I don't really see anything here. Caution was not thrown, so there's most definitely an incident thrown by iRacing itself, but I can't figure out what it was for.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one. Not really sure what that yellow was all about, but these guys do stay out one more time around. We do have some takers further back, led by Jack Bauer.
see, Jack Bauer coming down pit road. That means he gives up the... Not quite sure where he was at the line there. Nonetheless, he leads a few cars down pit road. Let's see, so that means he gives up the 17th spot. Sorry, that took a little longer than it needed to. But Brandon Robertson is our race leader. John Kinder in second. Nathan Maurer third. Travis Miller fourth. Matt Grenier fifth. Justin Winter sixth. Scott Fritz seventh place. Wes Wiggin eighth. Wyatt Brackett, talked about him a little earlier on in the race, has rounded himself in ninth place. And Joshua Abb in that 05 machine rounds out our top 10. We see Brandon Robertson, that pedigree machine. He has definitely been one of the class of the field tonight, putting on a show. He been up front most of the race today. And, you know, that's just showing he's started third tonight. And he is currently our race leader. John Kinder started ninth, currently second. But I believe right now our biggest mover is actually about a tie between second and third. Nathan Maurer started 22nd, finds himself third right now. Travis Miller started 20th and finds himself in fourth.
So we are just about to 20 laps to go. In fact, I think we'll restart with just about that because we're coming to probably 1 to green at 21. We should come to green at 20. Chase Shuttlesworth, if you're a driver that has stayed out to this point, you got 15 laps on your tires. If you get any more yellows, are you staying out or are you pitting? What are you going to do?
The trends tonight are telling us that we're going to continue to get yellows. I mean, you have these consistent yellows every 2 to 3 laps where the tires don't get to their proper heat cycle. It can make it really easy to be able to defend your position as opposed to runs, 10 or 15 laps where tire wear does start to take hold. It gives you a lot more opportunity to be able to block when these guys don't have all of that tire grip behind you yet. So continue to stay out if you're out front on all tires is basically my diagnosis.
Fair enough. I think that's a pretty good outlook on it. I expect these guys at this point, inside of 20 to go, to stay out the rest of the way. We'll see what they do. Robertson, your race leader. Then it's Kinder. Then it's Mower. Then it's Miller. For the back, it's Grenier, Winters, Fritz, Wiggin, Brackett, and Abb, your top 10. Coming to the restart, 20 laps to go as the green flag flies. Brandon Robertson off and away.
Yeah, Maurer was ready for that jump. As you see him try to nose down to the inside of Robertson there. Wasn't quite going to get it to work there as he gets a pretty good run off of turn 2, following in tow right behind Robertson. Takes away that second spot like pretty easy.
Were you looking for the phrase like taking candy from a baby? Meanwhile, they battle for third place. Kinder has company to the inside. It's Travis Miller trying to get on by that 21 car who restarted second. Miller, I think, restarted in fourth. Matt Grenier in fifth. Fritz gets the outside wall. He backs up, loses that spot to Wiggin now as well. The battle rages on up front through the top 4. Kinder gets that spot back in third. Mower trying to find some kind of ground on Robertson. He immediately had some ground on him and then lost it.
Yeah, you got to remember these guys are on not fresher tires, sorry. They're on the exact same tires here, 19 going on 20 laps here. John Kinder following in tow there. Maurer trying to find the sweet spot to run there. John Kinder, as you just mentioned there, fastest lap of the race.
And that's kind of surprising, actually, that Kinder goes purple so late in the race. We have a car slow, it sounded like, up ahead of these race leaders. We'll see if we can't find who that was. Tough to say. It might have been anybody, really. But, they're battling for third. That's what I was trying to get to. As Kinder now on the outside of Miller. Miller trying to get on by. That would be for third position. Miller goes on by. Finally gets that 21 car cleared. Despite the 21 going purple a lap or so ago, he gets passed up for that spot. And now we'll see if Justin Winters can reel him in. Suddenly, the 88 back in this.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out. You know, he was up front at the beginning of this race, and then we saw that first yellow, I think, just kind of put him back around the 15th spot, and throughout the race, he's worked himself back into the 5th spot. So, so far, he's had a pretty decent run. 5th place, not bad for Justin Winters tonight.
We found that slow car up ahead. It is Adam Lancaster in the 27 car. No, that is, yeah, Joshua Miller, my bad. Some new guys that I keep getting mixed up. But he lets these leaders go on by, including Justin Winters. They're all nose to tail through the top 5. A little further back in 6th, it's Grenier, who has company from Wyatt Brackett suddenly, making a pretty strong recovery. They come up on that 27 car into turn 1. Wiggins in behind Brackett. 13 laps to go the last time by the stripe. And we're coming to 12 to go then, of course. Wiggins gets stuck behind the 27. Fritz is going in the wrong direction. He has Worthington all over him.
Yeah, Worthington all over the back bumper of that 100 machine of Scott Fritz. He said the handling of that machine felt pretty good. I don't know if maybe he had just a bad entry or something, or maybe now that we started talking about it, he may have started thinking about it, and the handling of that machine may have actually went a little on the downside there. But nonetheless, as we see David Brackett up into the mix here, following behind, that is the 12th spot there.
Fritz loses 10th to Worthington, who goes on by into 3. Contact! Bauer shoves the 38 into the corner. He hangs on to it, but Jack Bauer playing dirty, and he goes around. I should say, I don't mean playing dirty in a dirty racing way. It's a bump and run on a short track, but he starts playing rough and tumble anyways, and he pays for it.
Yeah, he just got looked like he just got shoved right there and just bump and play there, and then that's not even what brings out the yellow. McNally coming into the corner and just punts the 48 out.
Yeah, it looked like he was driving with a purpose, doesn't it?
And then, the 27, nowhere to go. Just could have hit the brakes a little bit and just drives right into the wall. But yeah, I mean, it didn't even look like he
was down on the apron. He had his left sides on the apron here, McNally did. We'll watch it from this angle, and I mean, he really drives to get he drives in to get to the 48.
Yeah, he definitely sent it in there for sure. I mean, I don't know if he had any intent to clean him out. I mean, I don't want to say he did, but coming from the angle of it here, it looks like he just looks like he diamonds it in and just, he was into the throttle very late into that corner and just didn't back off. And as you see there, he was not off the throttle yet, and he was into the brakes, and that's what brought our yellow out.
We now have 8 laps to go, Mr. Trey Patton, and of course we could get an extension on this VFP Electric 200, and we just might with the way these guys are trending. We do, let's see, let's go over some race info real quick. 16 cautions now for 73 laps, only 7 lead changes. Remember, under our 5th and 6th yellow, we were talking about 5 lead changes. It had been pretty interesting to that point, but since then, it's been the same guys out front, especially this number 2 car of Brandon Robertson. He's led 146 of 193 laps.
Yeah, definitely putting on a clinic. I was trying to figure out earlier when I was talking about how much laps he had led, but I hadn't quite figured that out yet, so I'm glad we got that squared away. But definitely led, I'm hearing about 3 laps. He's had almost the whole race, give or take. I mean, definitely over halfway, about 3/4 of the race.
Yeah, quick maths right there. It's about 3/4 once he leads a few more here. And it'll be over, I think, 75% once we get to the race, end of the race rather, unless something happens. I mean, he's got Travis Miller up behind him. Actually, Mower pitted under this one. Ooh, I just noticed that. I got to find the 971 now, who did pit under this yellow, and now the number 971 Simbox Chevrolet is in 16th spot.
16th. Yeah, I didn't even notice that he pit. I was just looking through and noticed that, looking at our onboard, the ticker on the side here, and noticed he wasn't in the top 5 and was kind of curious where he was. But yeah, he most definitely did pit. I don't know if that's exactly what I would have done. You know, as you mentioned,
No, not at
as
all.
Trey mentioned, you know, caution breed caution, and as we see here, 6 laps to go, and he just went from 3rd to 16th.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one, especially because he's got to, you know, run some heat into those tires and scuff them a bit before they get really good. Because cold tires definitely are not fun on these NASCAR Cup cars. So he's going to be slipping inside in those first couple of laps. And, yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. I would have pitted probably 20 laps ago instead of now. We're coming to 5 laps to go now, and probably 4 once we go back green flag racing as pace car lights have shut off atop the iRacing pace car. Brandon Robertson still your leader, and now he's got a different scene behind him where suddenly John Kinder's behind him. He's got Miller to his outside. Winters is back in the top 4. And let's see, 5th place is Matt Grenier. I think really the drivers that we've been talking about the most have suddenly found themselves up front, save Nathan Mower, who, I mean, he was up here, but he decided to pit under this caution. And again, I don't quite understand why. Wyatt Brackett also in the top 6. He's also in frame. Joshua Abb, Wes Wigand, David Brackett, Daniel Worthington, your top 10. Coming to the restart. Again, Brandon Robertson leading across the stripe. We have 4 laps to go.
Yeah, 4 laps to go. Travis Miller had a pretty good restart there. John Kinner, Justin Winters up into the 4th spot, but as you mentioned, Brandon Robertson having a good restart. You see that gaggle of cars further on back, but nonetheless, we are single file all the way to about the 9th position. We see
single file
here,
through most of the front end of the field. 3 laps to go now.
3 wide. Like a little bit of 3 wide action back there around the Tim McNally machine as he sends it. Puts the 05 up into the fence almost, and he's around. That's a yellow flag.
Oh, Bauer gets in it, and Abb is around the primetime Sports Talk 05, around in turns 1 and 2, and sounds like McNally helped that 05 car around. We'll see. McNally just, oh yeah, that's some late braking again out of the 3 car, and it's not the first time we've seen it. I think that's the 3rd or maybe 4th time now. As Abb just spins that car around, I think out of frustration, because he might have been able to save it, then I think gasses up, maybe even drops the gear, and just spins that car around, ends up collecting the 48 car. But yeah, what a dive here from the 3. And again, it makes it look like he's driving with intent. It makes it look like he's targeting the car that he ends up hitting. I don't think he is, but it's just, with as hard as he's driving into the corner, that's the way it appears.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell from the volume of my voice there.
It's like he's on a revenge tour or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was about to say. It looked like he was on a man on a mission there.
Yeah, because now it's the 2nd car that he's gotten into like that in consecutive yellow flags. First Jack Bauer, and then he skips a couple, gets on by Worthington, and square in the left rear of the 05 of Joshua Abb. But again, it's like he's driving with intent. I don't think he is. I'll cover my bases there. But, I mean, he's driving so hard into the corner. It's really amazing me if he's hoping to make that corner, because he's going to push it wide by center, and he's using the apron to do it. I'll tell you what, though, I think he's living up to the number and rattling some cages for sure.
You know, yep, that's what I was about to say. I was like, you know, he's using that apron to his advantage. But I was about to say, I don't think he's trying to do that intentionally. And I was going to say that it's pretty fitting. You know, we're here at a short track. We have a black number 3, a black car with an orange 3, but nonetheless, a black number 3 car out here and rattling some cages for sure.
It's certainly one way to put it. We will extend the race length. In fact, we just completed lap 200. We're now on to lap 201. Brandon Robertson is the race leader. We'll get at least one more lap here under caution before we go back green flag racing. Looks like now we're racing to 204 at the very least, if not 205.
Yeah, we might get another extension. It depends on how we go here. We do have 3 attempts of a green-white checkered. Looks like, I believe, nope, pace lights are still on. Not go green this time, so next time we'll stack them up, and it'll be attempt 1 of 3. 3 of a green-white checkered. So hopefully we can send them home after one attempt.
So Brandon Robertson's still your race leader, and again, he is working up quite the number of laps led. 155 coming to 156 this time by Trey Patton. What a run for this 2-car. Remember, he had some issues at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. Didn't exactly have the flashiest run in Atlanta last week, and now, I mean, he has been the dominant car.
Yeah, he's definitely put on a show for sure. Travis Miller up here in the mix as well. Currently in P2. John Kender also in the mix here. Justin Winters, as we mentioned, last week's winner, and had a little bit of a mix-up today and finds himself in the 4th spot in the catbird seat per se at the right here at the end.
So it's Robertson, Miller, Kinder, Winters, Grenier, Brackett, Wigand, McNally, Worthington, and again, Brackett, the David of the two at 10th place. Coming to the first green, white, checkered. We have a green flag, we'll have a white flag, and we'll have a checkered flag. Everything goes as planned. Green flag flies, 2 laps to go from Richmond.
Once again, an excellent restart. Travis Miller looks like he went there. Cautions out the 971. Nathan Maurer around contact. Ed Osborne straight into the outside wall. Lancaster around more contact.
And that's exactly one of the reasons that Maurer should not have pitted. Because now he's in the thick of things, and that car is all kinds of torn up. I really question that decision by the 971 crew to bring that car in for tires a couple of cautions ago, because this is the result. Now he's in the center of things. We'll get a replay up on your screen, and we'll see what happens to these drivers through turns 1 and 2. Off into the corner, and Bauer tags Mower, and he goes around.
Oh, Ed Osborne just, oh man, right into that wall. Fortunately for Ed, he had, really nowhere to go, just got tagged, and went fireball deep into that wall. Hard hit.
Definitely a big one here, and that'll halt our progress one more time. Brandon Robertson's still the leader. Trey Shuttlesworth, I don't expect you to have probability numbers, but I'll have you spitball here as to what our probability is that we go to 3 green-white checkers.
I hate to use the phrase, looking at the trends yet again, but looking at the trends, we're just seeing an increase in the frequency of caution flags. So are we going to struggle to make it the white flag? The way these guys are driving at a track where you can gain a lot if you're incredibly aggressive, I do think we can get yet again another additional caution flag. And then the question does become, because once you get onto that 3rd caution flag, or 3rd green white checker rather, you're not going to get the option for an additional restart. Do we make it to the white flag on that 3rd green white checker? All around, though, Brandon Robertson has been doing a great job of defending. He has a lot of strong cars behind him, and all he has to do is make it 2 laps. So I think he's in very good shape, but he does have to look out for a bump and run.
Well, there you have it. Trey Shuttlesworth has spoken. I see a lot of people watching over on YouTube. Go ahead and let us know where you're watching from, who you're pulling for, just how you're doing this evening, maybe what you had for breakfast, who knows. Go ahead and chat with us a bit in the YouTube chat, the Facebook chat, the Twitch chat, whatever it may be. Over on Twitter, if you're watching on Twitter and Periscope, let us know how you're doing. We want to hear from you as we get ready to wrap this race up. Suddenly, we are in possibly almost like 4th down territory where these guys are going to a few different green-white checkers. It's pretty much sudden death for these drivers to get a couple of laps in and maybe get caught up in a wreck, and it could be a tough time for some of these guys. We'll be coming to another green-white checkered, and I think at about a lap's time.
Yeah, I believe, excuse me, I believe we will be stacking them up one more time. And just to reiterate a little bit what Trey Shuttlesworth said there, if I'm Brandon Robertson, I'm going to be probably watching my mirror a little bit, trying to watch for that bump and run. Every time we come to the end of one of these things, I keep just playing in my mind is the Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards finish at the Spring Richmond race.
And that's why I said at the start of the show, Richmond Raceway just kind of naturally opens the door to some big dive bombs, some big bump and runs, especially with how early that start-finish line is out of turn number 4. It really opens the door to it. Interestingly here, for our second attempt at a green-white checkered, we've gone to single-file restarts. I wonder how this is going to pan out. I really don't know what to expect on this one. Robertson, your leader. Then it's Miller, Kinder, Winters, and Grenier, your top 10. Top 5, rather. Robertson leads to the stripe. We do it all over again. 2 laps to go.
Yeah, Robertson got a heck of a jump there. Definitely going to help him going on here. You see Travis Miller using that bottom. I think if he can continue to have a run like that, he might be able to have a chance to get into the bumper.
Out of turn number 4 for the penultimate time. Brandon Robertson leads. We have an official green-white checkered attempt in the books. White flag flies. Miller gets right to the back end of Robertson. Expect another one this time through 3 and 4. No! He gets sideways out of turn 2. Will he drive it in to try and get to the 2? He tries. He can't get there. Out of turn number 4, Brandon Robertson's a winner at Richmond.
What a show. Travis Miller, you saw there going into 1. Put the bumper to him. Didn't quite make it connect as well as he'd wanted. But nonetheless, tried to do it again. As you see that little love tap there. Congratulations for the win there. Travis Miller definitely tried to give him all he had. But unfortunately came up a little short getting loose out of turn 2. But finished his second.
And Miller's going to burn it down here in the pedigree number 2. I think you talked about it at Daytona, Trey Patton. That pedigree machine has not been very kind to Kyle Busch in the NASCAR Cup Series, but Brandon Robertson brings it into the Bluegrass iRacing Series and wins with it third time out.
Yeah, it's definitely bringing some luck to someone at least. That car, as you mentioned before earlier on, had a little bit of right side damage there. Looks like he got that fixed up, and
well, he's since added some left rear damage in his celebration.
Oh yeah, really. But nonetheless, brought that thing home. How many laps did he lead tonight? I believe that's upwards of 165 laps.
I do know it's a whole lot. We'll go ahead. We'll grab him here shortly. I'm looking around for said Brandon Robertson. And I do see him up there in Team New England. We'll let him celebrate here first. I don't think anyone could have predicted that one, where at least Miller gets to the back end in 1 and then loses it. I thought he was going to have a great drive out of 2, and he got there. You got to stick with him. I thought we were going to have a big short track finish in 3 and 4.
Oh, I thought we were about to as well. As you see, man, I was honestly expecting the bumper. I think we definitely would have got the finish we were expecting if Miller wouldn't have got that loose out of turn 2, as you saw. But nonetheless, Brandon Robertson up front led most of the race, put on a clinic tonight, finished his little Polish victory lap here, and burns it down on the front straightaway. And lost my train of thought there.
Well, that's okay, because we have some drivers to talk to here after the fact. I see at least our top 2. Do we have one John Kinder in attendance? We'll have to wait and find out. We do have a full top 3 to speak with this evening. So we'll go ahead and we'll get right to it with race winner Brandon Robertson. And Brandon Robertson, we talked to you earlier on, the pedigree number 2 now in victory lane.
How are you?
I think you're doing a whole lot better than we are up in the booth, buddy. A big win at Richmond. It's certainly been an up and down couple of weeks for you, and now you win third time out, 165.
That was the goal. I think, not pitting, just staying out of the back and just staying toward the front and not having to, take all them restarts, it's pretty risky to go back there. So I just kind of wanted to save the pitting until you got 60 laps on the tires and just stay toward the front.
Yeah, we talked about one of those drivers that was challenging you for the race win, pitting with what, I think 6 laps to go. Nathan Maurer ended up pitting pretty late on, and we all thought everybody was going to stay out. You did exactly that, as well as most of the rest of the front of the field. What was the general idea, I guess, as far as the strategy with all of that? I mean, you guys had, I think, 6 total sets, given the set that you started on, and you really only used, I think, 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think, I was shocked when he pit. Honestly, he was strong. He probably could have given me a run. You did have a huge advantage as a leader, just restarting the race. You could just start at different points, but yeah, I was kind of shocked as soon as I saw him pull in. I thought, oh no, I'm done, because I thought he's going to drag a couple of people in with him, but it just seemed like he went straight to like 15th place.
Not only that, he gets involved in a couple of incidents, and it helps you guys out up front. What was it like on all of those restarts? You say the leader had an advantage. I think that's pretty clear. Leading 165 laps led with the amount of yellows we had, I think, equaling about half of those laps. What was the game plan from your point of view? Obviously, again, you kind of just stayed out, held the lead for much of the race.
Yeah, I just practiced ahead of the race, and I threw my brake. I think I was running like 75 front brake bias, and I just didn't want to deal with the loose in. And then you were just dealing with loose out the whole race. And the goal was just to not get caught up in the last 2 races. I've gotten black flags on pit lane, and went a lap down or went 2 laps down and had good pace, but I never could contend. So finally, I just stayed out there and minimized the mistakes on pit road.
You talk about that brake bias and minimizing your adjustments to that so you don't go around in turn 1 and turn 3. We saw a few guys actually back it into the fence and go around and such on entry. What was like the magic number or so? How far did you go on that as opposed to where some guys might have been going?
I think the stock set is 65, which is pretty damn aggressive, and I got playing with it ahead of the race. I got up to 70, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try 75. I tried 75, and I tried 80. Anywhere between 75 and 77 was, I think, a safe bet, as long as you didn't burn up the right front tire. But yeah, it just made it easy to drive, a lot easier than I think a lot of the people were dealing with.
That's certainly a lot of front brake bias, certainly. Roasting those front rotors. Thankfully, in iRacing, we don't have to worry about those brakes going out. It all works out for you. Who do you have to thank this evening, Brandon, and how do you see the rest of your season going?
Thanks again to you guys. It makes it, definitely a lot more exciting with you guys broadcasting. And also Jason and Nick, to put this together.
Well, Brandon Robertson, we appreciate your time. We'll be looking out for you the rest of the season. We go to Charlotte next week, Pocono, Indianapolis, the rest of the front half of the season. Best of luck to you there, and we'll see that number 2 pedigree Toyota Camry.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So Brandon Robertson wins at Richmond, and Trey Patton, we have second place, Travis Miller waiting.
Hey, Travis, this is Trey up in the booth. You got a copy.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Man, you had a wild ride. You started 20th and brought it home P2. We saw you put the bumper to Brandon there a little bit on the white flag into turn 1, then got a little bit loose coming out of 2 to not do it again in 3. Just talk us through your race, man.
Yeah, the qualifying position really sucked. We tried something new in qualifying, and it really screwed us. We got real loose in the qualifying and hit the wall. Had to start 20th, and then, we made our way back, but it really took a while. And then racing with Brandon was fun. We had a great run going, and then he just really checked up on the last lap more than I thought he was going to. And I kind of touched him, and I got real loose trying to catch him more on the back straightaway. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was definitely gonna give him a shot in 3 and 4 if I was there, but. He was real dominant all night. Fastest car for sure.
Yeah, we were expecting that short track finish for sure. We thought you were going to be able to give the bumper to him, and then unfortunately getting a little loose out of the corner there prevented that from happening. But really strong run from you guys tonight. Put that 22 machine in P2. Who makes it happen for you?
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, I just gotta thank Gaston's Auto Sales, MDR Graphic Design for the skin. It looks awesome, and the BRPI Racing Series for all they do for me on and off the track. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do it. And there's a great group of guys. I gotta thank the Bluegrass Series for putting on this league. Without them, wouldn't be here. And thanks to you guys for putting it on. It's always nice to watch.
It's always nice to watch you wheel that thing around. It's always nice to have you in the booth. Hopefully we'll be talking to you later on in the season, man, and good luck next week.
For sure, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it.
You have a good night, man. That is our second place finisher, Travis.
That's not the first time I've done that, believe it or not. Just a couple of nights ago, I did the same thing, or I moved the wrong guy at first. So I'm very sorry, Trey, but we have you back, and we'll now move on to one John Kinder. And John, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
All the way from third place, and you were the first caution of the evening. What happened right there with Joshua Abb?
Driver ran out of talent.
Well, that's certainly one way to put it. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for you. You end up dead last at Daytona. You come back, you have a great run at Atlanta. You moved 14 positions up the point standings. We checked just so we had that little stat on you. You're in the top 10 of points coming into this evening. You finished third place. I think you're going to move up a whole lot more.
Yeah, if the driver could put a race together, I've made too many mistakes, and I mean, it is what it is. Atlanta, thought we had the right strategy, didn't have a set of tires there at the end, so we're chipping away at it.
I mean, you put together a pretty good race the last couple of weeks. Certainly nothing to be upset about, especially this third place this evening. It was definitely a hard-fought third place. You're up there racing with Travis Miller, Brandon Robertson, Justin Winters, and Wes Wiggin all around you at the end. Did you think you had anything for the guys up ahead?
Yeah, I thought I could run with them. I just I didn't do a very good job on the restarts and spun the tires, and that didn't give me a very good shot at them. But those guys are fast. It's gonna be hard to catch them, but we're gonna keep trying.
Well, I see all the Pittsburgh-related decals all over your Iron City beer number 21. We go to Pocono in a couple of weeks. How are you feeling about that?
I really like Pocono, so I'm excited about that stretch. Pocono, Indy, Darlington, those are the kind of tracks that I really like.
Well, John, we appreciate you joining us in the booth here post-race. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out this evening for your third-place finish?
Well, the kids for putting up with me taking over the office, so I got to thank them.
Once again, John, we appreciate your time, and hopefully we're talking to you next week at Charlotte or in a couple of weeks at Pocono.
I appreciate it, guys. You guys do a great job on the broadcast, and it's a fun series.
Well, thank you very much, John. We'll be talking to you later on, and man, a hard-fought third-place finish for him. Definitely wants some more, though, Trey Patton, the rest of the season.
Yeah, most definitely. You could hear the little bit of disappointment in his voice. He was wanting a little more out of his car, and as he mentioned, a little bit of driver error. But third place is definitely not really something I'd be disappointed with. I mean, obviously, if I could get this little something more out of it, yeah, it'd be a little down, but this is definitely going to be a great points day for him. As we mentioned last week, he jumped up 14 spots. So that third position today is going to definitely help skyrocket him in the points.
Well, Trey, it was definitely an interesting race. In fact, we can pull those race stats up one more time. 18 yellows for 89 laps. It was a doozy. We had a really promising, I think, first third of the race. The first 66, 67 laps or so were really, really good. You got that long green run, and once we got those few yellows, but remember, cautions breed cautions, and it really halted our progress. But they still had amazing racing. These drivers did a great job this evening of tackling Richmond and tackling it well. Obviously, a lot of mistakes throughout the field, but that's expected. We come to a short track with a low downforce package on these NASCAR Cup cars, and it's still made for an exciting run. We do have results to talk about and to cover, and I'll give you the top 10.
Just like not rounding out, our race winner, Brandon Robertson, Travis Miller P2, John Kinder 3rd, Justin Winters 4th, Wes Wiggin 5th, Matt Grenier 6th, Wyatt Brackett 7th, Daniel Worthington 8th, Timmy McNally 9th, and rounding out our top 10 was Scott Fritz.
A little further back, it's Brian Terry in 11th. We talked about him on and off this evening. Never really got very far forward, but I think that's maybe a race high for him in 11th. Actually got up there towards the end. Joshua Abb, he had an up and down evening. He finishes 12th. It's Anthony Petrollo's in 13th. It's Adam Lancaster, 14th. Nick Mills, 15th. David Brackett ends up in 16th. He was on and off this evening. Started up front, unfortunately, does not finish there. Ed Osborne, kind of the same story in the 555 VFP electric machine. It's Nathan Mower in 18th after, he was up there. He looked so fast. He said he was fast, and unfortunately, the pit strategy at the end ends up getting him into trouble. Jack Bauer finishes behind him 8 laps down in 19th. It's Hunter Hullberg, in 20th spot, and that rounds out your top 20.
21st, we have Joshua Miller, 22nd, Jason Collins, 23rd, Brandon Young, 24th, Corby Daniels, 25th, Chris LeBourgeois. Oh, wow, I messed that up. I apologize. 26, Mitch Smith, Nicholas Noggle in 27th, and rounding out our field, John Fix, who did not start the race.
So 27 cars made the show this evening. John Fix, kind of with us in spirit, showed up, did not make it to the racetrack, though. We thank everybody for showing up to race. We thank everybody for tuning in this evening. It was certainly a fun one. And before we go, of course, we got some people to thank, and we'll just start right off with Tucson Sound Art. Of course, your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and they will custom create a beautiful framed, high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional info. We also have to thank the BRP iRacing Series. The BRP iRacing Series is a series run and owned by Northeastern Big Block modified drivers, crew guys, and fans. If you're looking to get into dirt racing or already are, this league is for you. BRP is a fixed setup league that runs 360 wing sprint cars and pro late models. The BRP iRacing Series will be adding the Big Block Modifieds to their series lineup upon their release on the iRacing.com service. You can find more about them at their Facebook page, the BRP iRacing Service Tray.
And next up, we have Permanent Makeup in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Boyer, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. If you're looking for the best solutions for your PMU concerns, give them a call today to book a consultation. You can contact them at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or give them a text at 207-358-8683. Again, the number is 207-358-8683. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, you will see that they do monthly giveaways. If you submit your entry, who knows, you might just win. Next up, we have our parent organization, Whiplash Media. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and much more. We are currently working on our presence in real racing, such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Whiplash Media can be found on Facebook, or you can visit our website at whiplash-media.com.
And so that will do it this evening from Richmond. That concludes our coverage of the Bluegrass iRacing Series VFP Electric 200. We at PitStop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to join us tomorrow evening as we bring you the return of the SRCA Indy Pro Series at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And again next Tuesday as the Operation E Motorsport iRacing League travels to North America, travels north to Road America. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStop TV. Over on Twitter at PitStop TV _, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, and on YouTube by searching PitStop TV. For Trey Patton and Trey Shuttlesworth with me this evening, I am Andrew Cardinale IV for PitStop TV, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.